This episode's brought to you by your mom's chancla. Do you have chores to do? Do you have bills to pay? Do you have a podcast to record but don't feel like doing it? Well, YMC is just right for you. Just one serving of your mom's chancla will get you right back on track and remind you who's boss. Your mom. Order now will include a serving of your dad's belt for free. Order YMC today because all we are missing is your A.
All right, welcome everybody to the Puras Pendejadas podcast. I am your host Rob D, and I have a super special guest with me today. Man, I think I could go like all day giving you their intro. But
Please do.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Así pinche scroll.
Yeah, please
Bueno,
do.
pues este güey, mira, me alivianó aquí, güey. ¿no?
Sí.
No, but I'll keep it short and sweet. If you guys are regular listeners of the podcast, of the music, of all this shit that I do, I constantly mention my big brother this, my big brother that. He told me this, he told me that. So I like to introduce you guys to my big brother, and we're gonna call him Coach Melec. Welcome, Coach Melec, to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here, man. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah, let's do this. I'm excited.
All right. So you're here. Estás aquí para echarle el pedo también, güey.
Sí. Pues ya ves.
Sí.
Yeah.
Oíste que algo andaba.
Yeah. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
That's
No,
cool.
but also I want to talk about your business endeavor, what you got going on.
Yes.
And it's called Ascending Life Coaching,
Right.
So let the people know, what you got going on there.
So, hello everybody, and thank you for having me, of course. So I have these. I have a practice. It's called Ascending Life Coach.
Right.
.com, and basically what it is my services as a life coach.
Right.
And I help clients kind of achieve their goals. But a lot of the times, what happens? What's a life coach? And it's basically somebody that's going to help you achieve your goals,
Right.
Guide you in the right direction. So that's kind of more or less what I do now.
Oye, el pinche jugo de manzana está medio
Sí,
agrio, ¿no?
sí, está medio.
Como que lo hicieron enojados.
That's good apple juice.
Cabrón. Yeah, so, and, when you brought it up, man, I was like, of course, applying it to myself, right?
Right.
I'm like, man, I've been getting free lessons for years.
It's all good. It's all good.
Like, god damn, like, of course you would. Like,
Yeah.
of course you got all this shit down. And I'm like, this is fucking perfect, man.
Yeah.
This is perfect. So talk about, let us know too, like, what planted the seed?
Well, currently what I do for a living, I'm part of this group that we kind of do what is called like a peer support, and we help coworkers deal with issues with trauma, with kind of like depression, and just issues, everyday issues that everybody has, right?
Yeah.
And I've been doing this for a very long time,
Right.
and but obviously I did it for my work, right? And a couple of years back, actually, a friend of mine, we're doing some training pertaining to that. And then she told me, she's like, hey, why don't you be my life coach, right? This is a couple of years back.
Yeah.
And then I was kind of like, a life coach? What the hell's a life coach, right? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mind you, I've been a mentor for a long time for work,
Yeah.
peer support, and done all this other stuff. But I never really gave it a title, right?
Right.
It was just, this is what I do anyway, right?
Yeah.
And I've been very blessed that, I've been able to, help family, help friends, and just, people that have come to me for advice and whatnot. But I never really named it. I never really put a name or a title to it. It was just like, well, that's what I do anyways, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if people feel comfortable enough to come to me,
Right.
and get a, an unbiased, opinion or direction, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
then I'm cool with it, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, so she was like, why don't you be my life coach? I'm like, yeah, well, whatever, right?
Así de, no mames.
Sí, like,
No mames,
life
pinche
coach.
life coach.
Sí, macha, mira,
Sí.
life coach. Este
Muy
vato.
chingón.
Sí, life coach.
En la camiseta.
Sí. And you know what the funny thing, Robert, is that in our culture we we're not used to that, right? Because we've never really allowed other people to give us their thought, or we always try to figure things out, right?
Right.
So we're like, a life coach, who needs a life coach, right? So
True.
anyway, so so she kind of planted the seed, and then years later, as I'm getting closer to retirement, like, well, shit, man, I need to do something, right?
Right.
I need to, I want to retire from what I do, but I'm still young enough and healthy enough to want to do other stuff. And that really resonated on me, man. And it was kind of like, you know what, maybe she was into something.
Mm.
And I found that I really have a passion for that. I really enjoy it. I truly, truly love helping people. Um, it gives me great pleasure to see people succeed and kind of figure shit out and kind of just do their thing, right? Self empowerment. And, like I've talked to you a couple years back that we were talking about, you know, we try to live a life and try to kind of like empower ourselves, right? Figure stuff out on our own.
Yeah.
And I just kind of like went on this tangent, if you want to call it that,
Yeah.
that it's like about self-empowerment, about helping people, getting better, giving back.
Right.
And I've been blessed, with so many things, with my wife and my kids and my career and whatnot,
Yeah.
that it's like I almost kind of saw like a way of getting everything that I've learned throughout my career and giving back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then, with the little seed that my friend planted, it's like, you know what, life coach it is, man.
That's crazy,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, and actually, she was my first client too, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, she was
Yeah.
my first client. So
That's cool, man. And because I thought you were gonna go one way.
right,
You know what I mean? You're
yeah,
gonna go one way, and even that, it's like, of course, what, duh. You know what I mean?
right.
And then, was, yeah, and then, but you just explained it, and I was like, yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
And it was crazy, like because remember I wanted to do the car thing,
see,
right? And I love selling cars.
see,
I mean, I think that's prior to what I'm doing now. That's what I did before, and I just found a passion, and it's funny because my wife always makes fun of me because she's like, "Well, you could talk to the wall, man," and I mean, you're a great bullshitter. But I think it goes beyond that. I think it's like I love people. I think that I think that everybody brings something out of us, and like you bring something positive or sometimes negative, whatever, out of somebody, right?
sorry.
And I think we all do. But if
Yeah,
you're able to bring something positive from somebody and
yeah,
you're able to use your talents, gifts, or skills to help people move up and
yeah.
use it. And for me, sales has also been a passion, right?
That's crazy,
But crazy how all this thing happened though, because I don't know if you remember when I was talking to you prior to COVID. During that COVID thing, that's when I wanted to kind of like start my other business.
see,
And Lord and behold, man, I mean, COVID hit, and I'm kind of glad I didn't, because it would have been a hell of an investment, and you know where all that went, right?
yeah,
So it's like, I think I truly believe, Robert, that everything happens for a reason.
yeah,
And so this is what I do now. I think that I'm able to hopefully use my skills, my talents, my patience, and my experience and my training
yeah,
to help clients kind of achieve
yeah,
what they want to do. You know what I mean, and motivate them and able to bring out the best in them, right?
yeah,
And through life coaching, and that's basically what it does. Another thing that I kind of focus also on is going to be, because you kind of have to specialize yourself on doing something. You can't just be like a regular life coach, like a broad life coach, right?
right.
Because there's a coach for everything, right? There's a
See,
nutrition coach, there's a finance coach,
yeah,
it's everything, right? So what I focus on is career development and
mm,
personal growth, right? So I've been very blessed that I've moved up the chain, if you want to call that, right, up the ladder,
yeah,
corporate ladder, and so I know a little bit, what I mean, about what you need to do to go ahead and move up and promote,
right,
executive decisions
yeah,
and all that good stuff, as well as self development. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And I think that that is very important too, because despite what you're doing on the side, I think that it's very important that you develop yourself, right? That you
yeah,
bring out the best within. You know what I mean? And that's very important, I think.
yeah. And what's really interesting is that, like, I've always like, I don't know, the salespeople, like, no me like no me caen. Like it's
Yeah.
just like right away, like they walk up and then like my bullshit meter just starts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like stay away. But what you helped me realize is that they're, and I mean, it's just the truth, right? It's
Yeah.
like they are not good.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because no, güey, es que sí, güey. No, aquí las flores van a sobrar, güey. Aquí las flores son como
Yeah.
las pendejadas, güey.
Sí, sí,
Fluyen
sí.
como el agua, güey. No
Yeah,
mames.
yeah.
So they they like they're just not good, man. Like they're too they're like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To where if anybody, and I've told you this a lot too, like bro, you could fucking talk to the wall, way.
Yeah.
Like you can
Yeah.
really, but I don't see it as an insult because when I did tell you that, I was at a point in my life where I was like, am I wrong? Am I, because I see you just flow so good with people.
Thank
You
you.
know what I mean?
Thank you.
You're so good with people, and it's just like, what the fuck, man? Like, am I fucked up? Like, because I clash, and it's like, si no quiero, no quiero. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I remember you telling me, and this is one of the many gems, dude, like that you've given me is like, you're you.
Yes.
You got to remember that. Whatever comes natural to Robert, that's what Robert is
Exactly.
and who he is. And I was like, huh? Because I can't, for me to like put myself out there just to start a conversation with people, me cuesta mucho,
Yeah.
and then, but I would see you, I'm like, shit, makes this shit look so easy.
But you know what's funny? It's funny that it interpersonal communication to me comes easy, right? And
Yeah.
and for me, I could talk to a 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, whatever, right? But believe it or not, I actually have stage fright.
Yeah, you were telling me.
And many people think like that's bullshit, man. I mean, you could talk to
De ahí es
whoever.
donde me la pelan todos. ¿No te
Yes,
creas?
yeah, I dropped the mic on that, right? It's crazy. Being a salesman when I was doing sales, it's easy because it's another human being. It's easy because it's, I don't know, man. I could put myself at that level, right?
Right.
Regardless whether the person's up here or down here, doesn't matter, right? To me, a human's a human. We all bleed the same. We always put our pants with the same, one leg at a time, whatever. Or but believe it or not, man, I always have, and that is something that I won't say that I struggle, but I have a hard time adapting to public speaking, and I do have a little bit of stage fright. And even for my current job that I do, sometimes I have to do these meetings, right?
Yeah.
And in front of like this big wigs and whatnot. And I try to make it seem like it's flawless and like I just no, but inside it's like, man, my heart is beating at 100 miles an hour. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And so, but at the end of the day, it's whatever is your comfort level, man. And you are, like I just said, like you are who you are. Some people are not like that. You know what I mean? Some people just keep to themselves.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that either.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that either.
Yeah, and I think that's like I said, that's a big gem you've given me, and that from that point, I know for a fact that from that point on, I started getting comfortable with me. Porque lo que te viene natural, but you can't really.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, this is what it. Now you do have to tweak a few shit,
Right.
Pero it's like, okay, cool, and that made me comfortable because, like, something about you and me is that, like, we're very alike.
Yeah.
Very alike. Like, we like a lot of the same shit. Like, it gets creepy. You know what I mean? It's like creepy. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
no, wait, no mames. Like, it's
You like that shit too?
yeah, like
yeah.
what the fuck?
Yeah.
But we're also very different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just a trip to be like, what the like this shit is special, man. Like, I don't think like you can't force this shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think I'm the perfect example of like that's how I learned who I am from deep down, because I've said it to many people, like, this me on the mic in front of a camera and all this shit, this isn't me, like, natural.
Right.
I have to like push myself to do it, to put myself out there, because in the long run, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the music, and then apparently now this shit, like if you could make a living off of this shit, like, wow,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
but it's not my natural state. You know what I mean? But what I've learned is that I like it at the same time. So I'm like, pues esto que como like what is this? You
and
know what I mean?
and that's how you grow, and that's how we
Yeah.
grow, because there's a lot of stuff that we like and we're uncomfortable doing,
Yeah.
right? And that goes with life altogether,
Yeah.
right? um you know now with my practice, it's i don't I don't mind talking to, like I said, one-on-one, two-on-two, whatever.
Yeah.
But I know that ultimately I'm gonna have to talk to crowds.
Yeah.
It's just not comfortable, but it's something that you need to get used to, and
Yeah.
that's part of growing. I mean, you can never stay stagnant, because that's when you're not going to grow. The only
Right.
way you're going to grow is putting yourself learning, and putting yourself somewhere is going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Now here, like you said, this is not part of you. You're not, the person that goes out and talks to just anybody, random person out in the street.
Yeah.
But you have to do this because this is part of who you are. This is part of your company. This is part of who you invented to be now, right?
Right. Right.
And getting used to it, getting acclimated, and exposing yourself to it is only going to make you better, right?
Yeah. And I feel it. It's crazy.
And then it gets to the point, like everything, right? That it like, Shinga, man, I was sweating that, right? But that is what we have to do, man, and that's
Yeah.
part of growing. That's part of evolving.
Yeah. And right now, not to make it about me because we're here to talk about you, but like
Oh man, I'm good. This is what I do. Remember, I'm here to coach you.
and I feel like I'm getting away with murder, dude. Because when you said that, I'm like, bro, I've had like a how long of a membership? You know what I mean? Like I'm like, dude,
Nah, so you get VIP, bro.
Like
You got
no,
VIP.
wait, no, mama. When you
got-
said that, I was like, bro, like, like. Si no, no me gustaría que me habían conocido back then, but like, there's a big improvement. You know what I mean?
You changed a lot, bro.
Like, I
From
think
when
I grew. You know what I mean?
yeah, you matured, and I think we all do, right? And I think maturity, not only, it's not a given, man. Not just because you're older doesn't mean you're mature.
Fuck no.
You know what I mean? I know a bunch of 50-year-olds who are like who think like a 12-year-old,
Yo
right?
también.
And I know 20-year-olds who think like a 50, 60-year-old, right?
Yeah.
So maturity doesn't come with age, man.
Yeah.
You need to grow. You need to want to mature.
Exactly.
And I think that, like, from when I met you, and not that you were immature, man, but I think you've grown tremendously as a person, as a man.
Yeah.
And now you have all these things now, this that you could be so proud of.
And we all like. I don't think we ever get there. You know what I mean? We're never gonna get to like, yeah.
No,
You know what I mean?
you always have to grow, man.
Yeah, but I think it's like a conscious effort, and that's what you've helped me learn too. Is like, well, what do you want to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like putting the shit in your face to where it's like, okay, and you just put in a little effort because, like, como te digo, this doesn't come second nature to me. But once I put it in my head, like it's a thought, like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Then you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like I don't take off on the
Yeah.
bike with the
Right.
training wheels. I need a push,
Yeah.
and then I'll take it from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I really like it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And then the opportunities, and then you get to know people, and then
Sky's the limit, man.
yeah, dude,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Like you put yourself out there, and it's crazy. And I remember you when you at Energy Fest when you asked me like, so you nervous? And in my head, like I had been preparing for months, months and months and months, and like a month before the show, I was like catastrophizing everything in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, what if I freeze up? What if I forget? What if, they don't have the setup ready? Like everything. What if nobody shows up? What if the artists don't show up? Like, what if this? What if that? And I just get like this sinking feeling, but then I would like stop it in my head and I'd be like, no, I know what this is. This is that fucking poison that controls the majority of the people that we know,
Mhm.
right? And that fear that freezes them.
Yep.
And then that's why they're like, no, pues mejor no. Pues mira, pues aquí me tratan bien y tengo benefits y valió madre.
You're actually right, man. We could always think about a million reasons why to do it.
Yeah.
And if we could think of one reason why not to do it, we won't fucking do it.
We won't
Right.
do it, man.
And that's unfortunately, man, it's almost like it's almost woven, right? In our DNA, man. And
Yeah.
it's crazy because you know, how you always bring it up too, man. Like, we don't come from this, right?
Mhm.
And we're good at second guessing ourselves.
Oh,
We're masters at that, man. We
yeah.
got a PhD at that,
Yep.
and that's where we need to stop. You know what I mean? And we need to challenge ourselves. I don't know if you remember when you started doing the music thing. Um, you know, we were there and all that, but I would kind of throw like little bumps at you because I wanted you to see it for yourself. I wanted you to second guess yourself, and I wanted you to tell you that you could do this.
Yeah.
Because the funny thing is that we as human beings, we like to always surround ourselves with people that tell us what we want to hear,
Yeah.
and that's easy. Your
Yeah.
friends and your family will do it. If they have any love for you, they're gonna tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah.
What people need to realize is that we need to surround ourselves with people that tell us what we need to hear, not what
Hmm.
we want to hear, but what we need to hear. And that's when the truth comes out, man. That's
Yeah.
when it's like when people tell you like, nah, sabes que vales crackers. You know what I mean? Nah, I'm sorry, man. You're not that good, or you have potential, or whatever the case might be, right?
Yeah.
Why? Because everybody's gonna be like that movie with Eddie Murphy, right? My
Oh,
Hercules and
sí,
shit,
sí.
right?
Nutty Professor.
Yeah, the Nutty Professor, right? So everyone's gonna be clapping at you and shit like that, and like,
Sí,
oh
sí.
my Hercules, but no one's gonna tell you, hey, motherfucker, you're out of shape. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, get your shit. You're
exactly.
not that strong, bro. It's not muscle, it's fat. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? So what happens is that you need to surround yourself with people that are gonna tell you what you need to hear, and that's kind of what I wanted you to do, and you realize that you realize that, and you had a serious talk to yourself with a man in the mirror, and you're like, okay, man, this is what I want to do. And remember, I told you, I said, like, look, man, you could do this in so many different ways. If it's meant for you, it's meant for you. It's not meant for you, it's not meant for you. Life has a way of the universe, life, God, whoever you believe in, you know what I
Mm.
mean, has a way of making things happen for you if they're meant to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And sometimes you just can't force shit.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that want to force certain things. And it's like, you know what, man? It's all right, man. It's not for you, man.
Yeah.
And no, se huevan. And, sometimes it's just not for you. You know what I mean? But you need to always also, second guess yourself a little bit, put yourself in check, get an honest opinion from people, and see if you have what it takes, man. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
And that's tough.
It is very tough, man.
That's tough because there's been plenty of times where like, oof, man, this is oof, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like there's plenty of instances. Like the one that pops into my head right away when you started talking about that was again we're talking about me here. Uh,
It's all good. It's all good.
that one time when we were working with Richie
Mm-hmm.
and we were talking about flirting with the idea of performances,
Yep.
and
Mhm.
you set everything up in the garage.
Yep.
Set everything up in the garage and like go, and I was like,
Yep.
I just like I need a plan. Like you just like out of nowhere, like, hey, let's hang out, let's jam out. Okay, cool. And then you look, I was like, what the fuck? Why is the mic out?
Yeah, you did a little surprise.
Yeah,
You're gonna do a
and
little
then
freestyle there.
and I
Yeah.
go, and I'm like, cause, but then that helped me so much, cause it's like, it's in your face, and then it's like, I know you. I think that's why man, there's gonna be a lot of sidebars here. So I think that's why me and you work so well, is because we're close, but we're not too close. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, and an example of that is if we were too close,
Mm-hmm.
then I would have been like, pinche, ve cómo es culo.
Yeah.
Porque no me, güey, pues dime, give me a heads up and this and that.
Yeah.
But that would be all the insecurity coming out and being like, fuck, I suck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we're still close enough to where I'm like, if something happens and I eat shit, then he did it for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I think that's a very fine line. And we both know people that we have relationships with, plural people, where it's like, all right, man. You know what I mean? Where it's
Yeah.
like, well, te quiero ayudar, güey, pero pues,
Mm-hmm.
you take it personal, ya valió madre, to where that's what you've taught me is like, when something happens, look at yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What could you have done?
Yes.
You think you're ready. Are you ready?
Yeah.
So I learned a lot, and then, pues, I mean, from that point, fast forward to this over here, You know what I mean? To that the night of when you're like, "Are you ready, bro?" I was like, I had it in my head like, "There's no, like, it's already done."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, yeah,
And
like
all you
yeah.
and all
I
you
think he
can
asked me like
control.
2, 3 times, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
and I wanted you to make sure that you knew that you were ready,
no,
because
like in my head, yeah, se acabó, like it's done.
yeah,
I already knew how it was gonna play out, and it was like, supreme confidence. It's just like I already know.
because you
I have
gotta
the mentality.
realize that what you can control is your mind, right? You
Yeah.
can control you. You cannot control all the what ifs that you said earlier.
And
Like,
even then, sorry to cut you
yeah,
off really quick. And even then, shit happened.
yeah, and
Remember?
that's another thing too, that we bug ourselves down, right? Or bog ourselves down. I'm sorry, um, with all the what ifs, right? All the what ifs. Um, what if this? What if that?
Yeah.
What if this? What if this? Well, screw that, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing you can control is you,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
can control how you're going to perform, and that's it. You can't control the crowd. You can't control the who's going to show up, who's not going to show up, who's going to clap, who's not going to clap. That's beside the point, man. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you cannot, focus on that, and that's what brings you down, because you can worry about all the shit you want, man, and it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And now what,
Yeah.
right? You got all worked up for what? For nothing.
For nothing.
You know what I mean? And always, like, always tell everybody, man, just focus on what you can control. Focus on
Mm-hmm.
you. Focus on your mind. What is it that you can control? When things go bad, okay, what is it that I could have done different, right?
Yeah.
What angle did I take? And everybody's like, I failed. Well, honestly, I don't think there's such a thing as a failure, right?
Right.
It's just learning experiences, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I always mess up, it's like, man, well, I did mess up. I just found out a way how to do it different,
Yeah.
another way of how not to do it.
Yeah.
And that's how people need to see it, man. Failure should not be part of the vocabulary, right?
Right.
It should be like, okay, well, okay, so this is what I learned. As long as you learn something from that, and that's the most important thing, because there's a lot of stupid people out there that they keep a lot, right? And they keep on doing the same stupid thing over and over and over, expecting a different result, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here we go with a definition of insanity, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, learn from it, man. And I tell that to my kids, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, as long as you learn from it, you know what I mean? Sometimes when they're growing up, yeah, you gotta kind of guide them the right, una regañadita here and there.
Yeah.
But as long as they learn, that's the important thing, man. You got the lesson, right?
Yeah.
And I think that goes with life, that goes with yourself, that goes with marriage, that goes with careers, that goes with what we do for a living, friendships, everything, right? And then it also comes with a little thing on at the end too, that you could only control you.
Yeah, because at the end, it's like you said, you can only control you. And I think deep down, I think that's what I realized. And that's another cool thing that we have is like, I'll have a thought and I'll live with it. You know what I mean? Like, I'll realize it and I'll be like, ¿sabes qué, güey? Oh, te mamaste, güey.
Yeah.
Esta pinche idiota está de aquellas.
Está bien idiota.
Sí, güey, no mames, güey. Ahora nomás ponle palabras, pendejo. You know what I mean? And then we end up talking, and then you end up putting words to that fucking thought. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, bro? Yeah. And it's like, and I'll let you know, like, I was just thinking that, but I couldn't. It was too overwhelming. You know what I mean? It's too overwhelming, and I can't figure out, because I'm applying it to me, and there's so much going on in my head. It's like, and then you're just like, pa 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 pa, and I'm like, damn, that's crazy that we were like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We were like, it's this frequency that we're like constantly on. Yeah. That we're constantly on. It's so it's fucking, it's trippy. You know what I mean? It's trippy.
And I think that's how people link, man. I think that's how people. I think
so.
It goes with everything, bro. I think it goes with work, and it goes with everything in life, because there's just gonna be some people, and I don't care who disagrees, but there's just gonna be some people that no matter what, you just cannot have anything in common.
No,
you cannot link, you can't sync, and you can't, you just can't, right? And that's okay too. You know what I mean? And that's okay, man. Not everybody's gonna be in your team.
Yeah.
Not everybody's gonna be in your team, man. And but it makes it so much easier when you find somebody that's in your team, or somebody that you could relate and could tell you how it really is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And have that frequency, like you said, right?
Yeah.
It just makes shit so much easier.
Yeah, yeah, and I think what we need to, like, what you helped me out with a lot of shit, man. Let's just make that like yeah, like, porque no, güey, me voy a repetir un chingo. So, like, one thing that I trip out on is that, like, what we come from, the people that we come from,
Yeah.
right, is like, there's this poison that's like very easily spread.
Yeah.
And it's very hard, not very hard, well, ponle very hard, I guess, for me, but it's not that easily deterred.
Okay.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But then if you look at like poison, literally, whatever poison is, it's easy to just like spread like a disease.
Right.
It's so easy to spread. Now, to get rid of it, to quarantine it, to do all this other shit, that's the fucking hard part. And then people don't want to deal with shit like that. And they're like, nah, it was fuck it. And then they just like submit to it. You know what I mean? And I'm talking like mentally wise, like there's this form of thinking to where it's like why? No, pues es que.
And you know what's so funny though that you said that
Yeah.
that analogy, right, of poison. So you're right, right? You know, we come from a place that, you know, poison spread out chingos, right?
Yeah.
And I think that everybody has that antidote, right? That anti venom, if you will, right? We just don't want to use it. We just refuse to use it because, like you just said right now, like, nah, la chingada, fuck it, I'll deal with it, whatever.
Yeah.
But we don't want to, man. We don't want to. We have it in us. We just don't want to because we don't want to bother with it. We don't want to take the effort and make shit right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you exactly effort, and that's all it is. Because you catastrophize it in your mind so much before you even do anything, and anything at all. You know, in your case, you know, your business. In my case, the music, and you know, the podcast is like. And then what if? And the weather's bad, and it's windy, and then with this and this, and it's like, it goes back to what you say. Like, what can you control? You know, control you. What can you do? All right, then just fucking just do it. Knock
Move
it
on.
out.
You know.
You know. But so many people that we both know are stuck in that same rhythm. That's like, nah,
we don't. No queremos batallar, bro. You know
not
what I
at
mean?
all.
And I think that as I get older, I see that la gente no quiere batallar, and it's you know it's they become very conformist. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
man.
And I have family, and you know we have family that this is good enough. Well, what is good enough, man?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Are you gonna live to your potential, man? Are you gonna, you know, one of the things I have this big poster in my office,
Mhm.
and it talks about it has like a lot of little things here and sayings and whatnot, and it talks about, you know, only one life, and just like empowerment stuff, right? And then in one of the little verses there, it talks about not having any regrets,
Mm.
and it's very profound, man, because you know when you're in your deathbed, you know what I mean, you always have regrets, right? And you don't want to, and you know we could go on forever, but my point is that why just be a conformist?
Yeah.
You know, like if you had the thing in the music, you know, you could have easily said, you know, screw it, man. I'm gonna be where I'm at, working at, and just blah blah blah. And they pay me well. I have insurance. I have benefits, whatever. But I want to do the music, but nah,
Yeah.
nah, man, don't settle. You know what I mean? No one should ever settle. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
If there's something that you have inside of you, do it, because there's nothing worse than coming to a point in your life at an age or whatever, and then you say, "Chingao, man, I should have done that when I had health, when I was younger, when I had the means, you know, whatever the case might be, man." And this covers everything. It covers with your kids. It covers with your relationship. It covers everything in life.
Mhm.
If you want to do something, just do it, man. And I get it. Sometimes there's certain obstacles that come in your life.
Yeah.
There's finances. There's budget. There's all the shit that happens, right? But if you have the means, if you have the ability,
Yeah.
do it. Why? Because remember what I told you, that one of the most expensive things that we have that we can't afford is time.
Yep.
You know, yesterday's gone,
Yep.
right? And some of us don't take advantage of it. We just take it for granted.
Mhm.
And just do it, man. Just freaking do it, regardless what other people say, man.
Yeah. Te tiene que valer madre. Which. Yeah. I want to go back to that. And I don't think people realize how, like, the power that they have.
I know.
You know what I mean? I don't really think like, oh fuck it, I'll go to my first question, but it leads on to this like que te valga madre, güey. You know what I mean?
Do it.
Like literally.
What's the worst that could happen?
Oh, that's another one you taught me. Um, yeah, I could say this. So when we were shopping for a house, right?
Right.
Where I would like, oh, check this one out. Check you were like right there with me,
Yeah.
and like, hey, would check. What do I do? And you would just like, boo. You were like teaching me everything, and like, I don't know. They're like, just ask. What's the worst they could say? And
Yeah.
I'm like, no. Okay, then you're back where you're at. And I'm like, oh, mames, way.
Yeah.
Like it's like another one where I was like, that's fucking true. And now I tell people that shit. You know what I mean? Like, what's the worst that can happen? Well, they say no. All right, fuck it. Just ask.
Mhm.
Just ask. Si dicen que no, pues no. And it's so liberating to do that shit. But again, I think we come from like the people that we come from, and that's not even our people. Like it's our culture, but it's like all cultures too.
Mhm. Yeah. It's kind of like a human thing
It's
almost, right?
¿cómo se dice? Damn, el rechazo, them like the denial. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like I'm gonna build up the courage, but they might say no, but and then like, can I this and this? How much is this house or whatever? And then like, no, sorry. Oh, you go back con la cola entre las patas y luego ya, llévame Dios,
Sí, sí, cómeme tierra y la
Sí,
chingada.
sí,
Sí.
wait, no mames. And it's like, fuck it. Que te valga madre. Pues, aren't you a big, not you, but like people like, don't you pride yourself on not giving a fuck?
Yeah.
That's when you don't give a fuck. That's when you keep it moving. That's when you apply like, fuck it, mira, que hice post en Instagram, esa madre, yo lo vivo, güey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, people are controlled by that shit.
Yeah.
The fear of being denied, the fear of like, no, shit. Now I gotta go tell this person and that person. ¿Por qué?
And who
Porque
cares?
abrí el pinche hocico y les dije que iba. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
Que yo mero me la aviento la
sí,
chingada.
sí,
Yeah.
me hacen los mandados. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, güey, ¿ahora qué? Por eso no hicieron nada, güey, But that goes to my first question. What does not giving a fuck mean to you?
Freedom.
Yeah.
If I were to put that in one word, freedom.
Yeah.
And freedom is such a, it could mean so many things to different people, right?
Yeah.
Many people say freedom of illness, right? Freedom of financial freedom and freedom of whatever, right? But just the word freedom, and not in that, in that context there of not giving a fuck.
Yeah.
The freedom to be free, man. The
Yeah.
freedom to do what you want, to not care, to, there's this post that I saw a while back, man. It's in Spanish, and this man, it sounds like an older gentleman, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it goes along the lines. I don't know verbatim, but it goes along the lines that he goes, I've gotten to be old enough to not give a fuck. He goes, I have gotten to be to the age where I don't care.
Yeah.
And dude, that is so liberating. You know what I mean? To not have to worry about who's gonna say what, who's gonna think what. That is mental freedom. And to me, that's awesome. And it's not easy.
Oh no.
It's not easy. It's not something that you could just achieve overnight. And because in a way we still give a fuck, right?
Yeah, and you helped me realize that I still do give a fuck.
Well, it's because I'm telling you, man, it's a powerful thing, man. Because to an extent, you have to still kind of give a fuck, especially give a fuck about the people that are important to you.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And I'm taking this context to like the people that are not important to my life.
Sí,
right?
Sí.
To the naysayers and all that, right? Because there's people that are in my life that are important to that I give a shit, right?
Yeah.
And of course, I care what they think of me. Why? Because they're my family, right? I care. But people that are outside that circle, let's say, I could care less, and I say that, very respectfully.
Yeah.
That you don't impact me, right? And like JC Wright said, what you don't eat makes me shit, right?
Yeah.
And to me that's so liberating, because we some of us keep on thinking, what is the neighbor gonna say? What is my friend that I haven't seen in forever? What is she gonna say? What is she gonna think? And well, who cares, man?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, who cares, man? Do the people that are important in your life appreciate you? Yes. Then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that comes with freedom, because many people are not free from that. They're kind of enslaved to the opinions. And the worst part is that they're enslaved to the opinions of a complete stranger.
Yeah.
from somebody who they never talked to in a long time, from somebody who posted or replied in your Instagram.
Yeah.
Some Peter 123 underscore
Yeah.
fuck you, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? He replies, whatever. Hey,
Yeah.
you look like shit. Hey man, you look tired. Oh
Yeah.
man, you got bags in your eyes.
Yeah.
And then your day's gone. Your day's shot. Like, oh my God, Peter 123 underscore don't give a fuck. He said that about, and like, and who's that guy? I don't know. So who cares?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Focus on what's important. You know what I mean? Give a shit about what people give a shit about, what the people that are important that are within your circle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And focus on that.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Because I'm telling you, man, but that's, to me, that's what not giving a fuck means.
Yeah, no, freedom. That's a very, very good, good
freedom, man.
Yeah, because it's crazy. Again, it's all mental. A lot of the shit, like a lot of people think like, sí, pero se necesita dinero para hacer eso.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or like anything, like money.
Yeah.
But there's a certain aspect of, and I'm getting there. I don't think I'm there because the way you helped me realize it is that like not giving a fuck.
Yeah.
Like you said, like there's like, or this is the way I pictured it, like with filters on it, right? Because like a unos is like, no, a ti no, yo sí te quiero, no te falta respeto, y lo, pero aquel güey, mira, toma güey, you know what I mean? It's like, no, para allá sí, para acá no, bueno, pues esta, pues, a ver, you know what I mean? So, but it's like, it's just filtered, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, because we love to split hairs too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Pues es que, pues,
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, like, I think what would help, or what helps me do that filter is like what is or who is, or the thought of someone holding me back from doing what I like to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's like, pues que me valga madre. You know what I mean? Perfect example. Like I told you, right? I was preparing for months for the show and shit, right? No, tampoco. Almost every day, right? I would rehearse in here.
Okay.
Boom, boom. I close the door. I tell Diana, I tell the kid, I'm going to practice. Run it through. And then like, okay, cool. And then Idris would be in here. Well, I would do it. Can I be in here? Yeah, sure. Hey, what do you think? Yeah, I like it. Like, okay, cool. Not that, like, and I cared how much, what he thought.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was preparing, I was opening myself up to be like, him probably being like, Dad, why'd you, well, what does this mean? Or with this, like I was opening myself up, you know what I mean?
Right.
And then, but no, he was like, I like it. Y se ponía a bailar el güey todo, y me aplaudía y todo. And then Haley would be in here too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I would open myself up, like I was being vulnerable, but to my kids.
Of course.
You know what I mean? It's like, way. And then like, I don't think Diana was ever in here, but I know she could hear me porque esa pinche puerta no tapa nada.
Sí. Esa madre no es bulletproof.
Sí, güey, no
sí,
mames.
Sí.
So, but I would ask her, like, what do you think? And then I would pick her brain, or, this and this, or this song instead of this song here, this and then. She was like, okay, cool. But I would feel an obligation to, like, explain what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm not just in here jugando con canicas, just wasting time and shit. So I'm like, no, I really want to do this shit. Now, with other people, some people would stop by or whatever, and I'm like, ugh. I would freeze up, be like, no, pues todavía no, or whatever. But then I was like, fuck it, man. Like, this is my shit. Like, this is what I want to live off of.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to make sure that this shit is right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it just, like, I'm tweaking. I don't have that much experience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I have to make sure, and I have this plan in my head. And am I going to let them control me at this fucking moment?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But Roberto, no sé, ahí anda gritando como loco en el pinche garage and this and that.
But you're perfecting your craft, man.
Exactly.
You're perfecting your craft, and there's nothing wrong with that, man, because, I mean, it is true, man. Practice makes perfect. You know
oh, man.
And that's how we get better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you're always going to have people that are always going to bring you down.
Always.
You know what I mean? And it's unfortunate, but and that's what I mean, that if those people are not within that circle
exactly
of the I give a shit circle, I guess.
Yeah.
That's when you're like, hey man, whatever, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. O los que andan vendiendo ahí refrigerated air, que king.
Pinche solar panels y la chingada.
Sí, que me valga madre. You know what I mean? Shit like that, to where it's like, I need to make sure because this is what I want to do. Like I'm the way I'm looking at my future is like it's gonna be. I'm gonna have two. Well, in the grand scheme, right?
Right.
There's gonna be two versions of my life. One is like the basic, like the not the basic, the fucking traditional,
Okay.
the traditional way. You know, you go and you get a job and you dedicate yourself
Yeah.
and you
You're
know,
conformist. You're
sí,
yeah.
sí,
Yeah.
sí,
I got you.
ándale, esa
Ese
madre,
mero. Okay.
esa madre. Okay, okay, this is what life should be. Yes, you grow up, you get a job, and you fucking
Wow.
stay with them, and you know whatever, whatever,
Yeah.
and that's it. I'm like,
Mhm.
all right, cool. And then you know, a few years ago, I'm like, nah. For me, I'm not saying it's wrong because you know we're in different shoes. For you, it's been fucking great.
I've been blessed.
You know what I mean?
I've been blessed.
But like for me, but again, for someone different, then it's like, pues no. I mean, no, that didn't work out. I don't like it. I want more.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not just saying money. I'm just saying like life.
Exactly, and that's what it's about.
So I want more life. I
Yeah.
want to live life. I don't want to just survive and get by. And
We have a mediocre lifestyle.
yeah, I
And
want to live life. I want to actually live it.
you know what's so funny, Robert? It's talking about mediocre lifestyle and wanting more. It doesn't always revolve around money.
No.
And I could tell you that I know people who are not um, very financially stable, if you will, right?
Mm-hmm.
And chingao, man, they have the most fun, man.
Yeah.
They're always traveling, and it's crazy, man. It brings me an example of there's this lady that I know at work, and she's she's in the cleaning crew, right? So she cleans the offices and whatnot. And this lady, I mean, I know that her job doesn't pay that much, right?
Right.
I mean, I think there's only so much you make as a custodian, right?
Yeah.
But you know what, though, man? I kind of live vicariously through her, man,
Mhm.
because she's everywhere, man.
Yeah.
She's everywhere in Mexico, man. She goes to Torreon, and then she goes to Coahuila, and then she goes to Oaxaca, and like every other month she's traveling, and it's like, man, you know what? It's like good for her, man. But
Yeah.
because she knows how to do it, she knows what's up, and she's always happy. And to me, it's like that's life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you can have all the money in the world, man. You can have all the money in the world, and it could sit in a bank, and it does you absolutely no good
Yeah.
because you're not traveling, right?
Yeah.
And I read this article once where it talks about staying young,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if I told you this already, but it talks about number one, obviously, you know, not having any regrets,
Right.
right? And then it talks about telling everybody that you love to tell them you love them.
Mhm.
I mean, not just let them assume you love them, but tell them you love them,
Yeah.
right? And then it talks about taking chances.
Mhm.
And then in one of them, it talks about taking a trip once a year, whether you could afford it or not, to
Mhm.
take a trip, because you don't know if you're ever gonna. Because there's never the right time, right? There's never the
Totally.
right time, and I think that that's one of the things that we always kind of do to ourselves. That, and I'll admit, I'm part guilty of that as well. You always fall. You always have to make sure that it's the right time. Like,
See.
you know what I mean? Like, oh well, wait till this and wait till that.
Yeah.
When is the right time, right? And those moments are gone. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I always come and when I talk to you about the kids growing up and how to take advantage of Idris's age and even when he was younger,
Yeah.
because my 19-year-old boys now,
Shit. Bro.
and my wife will tell you, I miss them tremendously when they were 2 years old.
Ah,
And I remember when they were 2 years old, I wanted them to grow up so quickly,
yeah.
right? And it's like, come on, just grow up, man. Where you put your own seatbelt, where you don't have to have a booster seat and all that, right?
Yeah.
When you could eat a chip without choking yourself, right? And you know what, Robert? Time flies so quick, man, that we lose grasp, and it just is like water going through our hands. It just goes
Mhm.
so fast and so quickly, and we don't take time to enjoy the present. We always wait for the right time, which might never come.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we live on regrets, and we should never do that.
Yeah, man. You've helped me with that too, man. Where it's like I look at I look at the kids and I'm just like live like live this moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just squeeze all the juice out of it just right now, right here and right now. You know what helped me too? the Michael Jordan the documentary.
Mm.
Did you see it?
Mm-mm.
Oh, dude, like ni te tiene que gustar el pinche juego, güey. This guy is like I see myself in him sometimes. Like
Yeah.
it's just like so like he gets so into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's so into it, and it's just like, what the fuck? But one of the awesome things that shit has is that he's like, the press is there, and they just won, and hey, Michael, next year with this and that, he's like, shh, 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 shh. Live this right now.
Yeah.
Let's just live this right now. I don't care about next year. I don't care about tomorrow. This practice, blah blah blah. Right now, let's just live this right now. Y todos se quedan como, oh, ¿cómo este güey
Stay
qué?
awake, eh?
Yeah, but it's true.
It's true, man. We are so we're so focused, man. We're so focused on the future tomorrow. And you know what the funny thing is, bro? And I found this to be kind of hilarious a little bit because some people just live in the past. We have a lot of family and friends and shit that they just stuck in the past, man. You know what I mean? It's like, see, but 10 years ago and okay, the past is gone, right? Tomorrow might never come.
Right.
It's today, right?
Right.
And then that's why they call it a present because it's a gift, right?
Shoo.
It's a gift, man.
Yeah.
It's we don't realize that, man. And it's hard. It truly is hard when you have bills to pay, you have a life going on, you have issues. It's hard to live a day by day, or rather live in the present, right? Because
Yeah.
you're always thinking like the bills are coming. How am I going to pay this? I'm going to pay that.
Mhm.
But it's hard, man. You know what I mean? It's hard when you could truly, truly acknowledge the present and live on today.
Yeah.
And it's even hard for me, bro, because I'm a planner. I'm
Yeah.
a planner, man. I have to know what the hell's going to happen next week, what's going to happen next month. I'm already planning like my retirement party, and that's like in 2 years. And it's like a machine, bro. Botellas everywhere, bro.
Oh.
But you know what I mean?
Ustedes no van, eh?
Sí, everybody, right? Hey, I'm gonna be like that quinceañera that was invited in Facebook, and then everybody showed up
Oh,
in Mexico and shit. Yeah.
No, no digas nada
Sí,
entonces,
sí,
porque
no
sí
le
se
voy a decir,
maman.
sí.
No, nunca ven esto, güey.
Yeah.
¿Dónde lo viste?
Coach Melec decía que voy a have a
Sí.
peda ahí.
En las pendejadas.
Sí, ahí salió.
Sí.
But you know what? That is crazy though, because I think it takes a lot, man, for people to live on you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I trip out on the people that get, and I have a lot of friends, and we have friends and family. They get stuck in the past.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go, man. How can you move forward if you just be bringing the past with you, man? You know
It's
what I
that
mean?
mentality, man. It's that fucking poison, bro.
It's a crazy analogy that I heard once, and it kind of like it dropped the bomb on me, right?
Yeah.
And then so I heard this guy once say, life, and it was talking about referencing people like holding shit from the past and moving forward, and go, that's life is almost like a vehicle, right? And that's why your rear view mirror is so small and your windshield is so big, because your past, you're supposed to see it through a small window, man. It doesn't matter. It's not as important as what's in front of you.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, man, you're right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's like,
Why do people get stuck in the past, man? Like, this person hurt me. La chingada. And so what, man? Let it go.
yeah.
It's gone.
Like
know what I mean?
you're still good. Look at all the positive shit. Your health is still good. You still got both your legs. Your heart is good. Like your eyes are good.
Yeah.
Like everything. There's so much, but it's that whole thing where like, like they just like get frozen, or they hang on to it. That's the thing, is that you have the option of letting that shit go.
Yeah.
But it's just like, and it's so freeing, It's so freeing, and I think that's another thing. You were talking about something right now where, I remember like a lot of us, like for me, right? The music thing, and obviously now this podcast thing is like, well, más bien the music thing. The way I would see it is like, Robert's little stupid idea. You know what I mean? That's how I would view it. But I think it would come from like different shit, like, oh, what are people gonna say, and think of me, and like all these insecurities, right?
Mm-hmm.
To where it's like, I think that's why a lot of us don't really explore our minds to like, ¿qué me gusta hacer a mí, güey? Like, what do I just get lost in? Like, what do I look forward to? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you can find a way to see if what might happen. You know what I mean? And it could give you that freedom. It could give you that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
But a lot of us
liberating
are like so like no no es que
because we care. We care about what the unimportant person
exactly.
gives a
So a
shit
lot
about.
of us give a fuck.
Yeah,
You know, but we pride ourselves on not giving a fuck. It's
yeah.
like nah, you gotta really look into that shit
You
because
you have to, man, and it's hard, man. It's easier said than done. You know what I mean?
exactly.
If some people have a, and I'm telling you, man, because I'm telling you, I'm living proof, man. You know what I mean? It only took me through years, bro, years of experience, years of really getting to know myself because I was one of those people, man. I was one of those guys who gave a shit about who said what about who's wearing what and how's, you know what I mean? And it's very hard to let go, man, because
Yeah.
you are so fixated in the opinions of others.
Yeah.
And until you come to your senses and you realize that who cares?
Yeah.
That's when it's like, oh man, it's like literally like a ton of bricks just,
Yeah.
off of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it is hard, man. And for your listeners and for everybody, man, it's easier said than done, man. And as long as they're working towards achieving that goal of eventually having that freedom from people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not or from you not giving a shit, let's say. Um, and I guess also it comes with an extent, right? Like you don't want to be those people at Walmart that show up in fucking pajamas too, and that you don't give a shit so much that
Yeah. Yeah.
that's te acabas de levantar, estás en pajamas with your fluffy, you know, slippers and because we seen those people at Walmart.
Yeah.
God damn, you know what I mean? Like if you're one of those people, please put some pants on. God
See?
damn it, you know what I mean? Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
No,
No,
and that's the thing. It's like it's extremist.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, well, pues no, pues que me dijiste not give a fuck, pues de lo guam,
Sí, no.
se maman. You
No,
know what I
no te
mean? It's
claves, yeah,
like no, no, no.
yeah, no te claves
That's
tampoco.
what I'm saying. Like it has to be filtered. Everything has to be filtered, and then everything has its moment. Everything has its time. Like, you know what I mean? Everything. Like, for
There's a
example,
balance, bro.
everything,
Everything,
everything.
and that's one thing that I learned through some of the books that I've listened to and some of the books that I've read that life has to be a balance. That book you gave me, the Daily Stoic, man, it's a
Ooh,
great book.
I
Great
want to talk
book.
about that too.
Um, it talks about balance in life has to have a balance, man. You cannot like party all the time, right?
No,
Like you can't party all the time. You
there's
can't
only
be
one Eddie
right.
Murphy.
There's only one Eddie Murphy, right? And you have to find a balance between work, right? Life.
Yeah,
In life, I mean, of course, like your kids, your wife, and then your responsibilities. You have to be responsible with your career, your job, and whatever is your livelihood, right?
right.
You can just be completely, you know, just be just not care about your work and not showing up on time and whatnot. Where you're gonna get
Yeah,
fired and
yeah,
not,
yeah.
you can't even pay the bills.
Yeah, you got to give a fuck there.
Right. You know what I mean? And that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about having a balance, man.
Yeah.
And life has to have a balance, man. You work hard, you play hard, you find your hobbies or whatever your crafts are, they're gonna, balance you out, man.
Yeah.
And that's what it is, man. But some people do take it to the fucking extreme.
Sí, se maman.
So, man,
In short, se
sí.
maman. So my other question, another question. Can you recommend the people 3 books?
You know, one of my favorite books is the Daily Stoic. Yeah, the one you gave me, man.
Nah, bro. I've told you before, like I owe you so much
Yeah,
that by the time I gave you that book,
that book blew my mind, man.
I was like, because I like applied it to myself, and I was like, wait, what the fuck? And then I was
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, and then I gave it to you, and
it's the Daily Stoic, man. That book just it was very profound, man. It gave me answers to what I was already thinking and the questions that I had.
sorry to cut you off. So let the people know what is the Daily Stoic.
So the Daily Stoic is this book, and it talks about philosophers, right? And it talks all about the philosophers, how they were thinking, and their ideologies, and the way they thought about life in itself, and how important it was. And it talks from
Can we say ancient philosophers?
yeah, we're talking
Right.
about from the Greeks, you know what I mean, that era. And it talks about different philosophers, some that were slaves, some that were actually very influential with the government and the at that time and whatnot. And it all comes down to yourself, right? It comes down to what's important, what is not, you know, and and how to view life and how it makes you change, and how to what is called framing, which basically is changing the way you think of things, right?
Mhm.
A different approach, if you will.
Mhm.
It was crazy. There was this philosopher that would think about, this person was super rich, right?
Yeah.
And he would walk barefoot during hot days, right?
Mhm.
Just so that he could feel the pain, so he would know what it's like to not have shoes.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. So the Daily Stoic basically is just it's to kind of wrap up on that book. It just talks about seeing life in yourself,
Yeah.
right? And it's a very humble. It's an amazing freaking book. I had to listen to it and read it because it takes a while, man, because it's so profound that it sometimes it just it goes over you, bro. Right? You have that moment like, what the hell did he mean by that? And
Dude.
then and the cool thing about it is that you apply it to your daily life, and you could see how it impacts you, man. And I give you that example that you know because I had read that book and listened to that book, certain actions in my work helped me.
Oh yeah,
You know
that's
what I mean?
right,
It kept my cool, man. And
bro.
you know what I mean? And it talks about giving other people, you know, your peace.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't let other people control your emotions, man. You control your emotions. You control your brain. You control the way you can react. And even you know, it's just amazing, bro. It's the book. It just talks about how what.
No, pues, pinche, esta madre quiere hacer update. No, ni madres, güey,
Uh,
estoy grabando. Ahorita
I was
no,
like, I'm
güey.
seeing you staring at the computer, man. You're
Yeah.
worrying me.
No, güey, ahorita no. A ver, tu morro.
There you go.
Qué pedo. Bueno, pues, all right, cool.
So yeah, so it talks about basically, man, about having control over your mind and how you have no control about the outside sources, people outside,
yeah.
the element, the
Right.
element of outside, and that's what the Stoic talks about. So that
It comes down to that whole thing you were talking about earlier, where it's like the only thing you control
yeah,
is you.
and your mind, right?
Yeah.
And check this out, because it even talks about how you cannot even control your body. You could only control your mind, because
Yeah.
if you, God forbid, man, you get cancer, you get a stroke, you can't control that. It's not like you called upon yourself, right?
Yeah.
And even at that, you have no control over.
Right.
You could only control your thoughts. You could not control other people's emotions. You could control how you're going to react.
Right.
And that's what the Daily Stoic talks about.
Yeah, man.
That's a badass book. The other one is 7 Habits of Effective People, right?
I haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah, that one's pretty cool, man. That was a really good book, and that one deals more with leadership and just kind of again how you see life.
Hold on, say it again so they could get the title, porque
I
los
think
que me escuchan como
yeah,
que
and you know what?
les cascabelea el pinche
yeah.
mofle.
7 Habits of Effective People,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. I want to make sure that I don't mess it up too. I mean, you might want to facts check me there.
Mira, aquí no sirve el Google ahorita, pero
I want to say that, and
I'll leave them in the description. There you go. I'll
Yeah.
help you guys out. Chingao,
yeah,
¿cómo
so
les
do it that.
ayudo?
And I should have brought
She's
the. I didn't know you
huevones.
were gonna ask me that question, but
Nah, it's cool. I'll leave this shit in the description.
yeah,
You're welcome.
So 7 Habits of Effective People.
I think that's it though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So that one's pretty cool too, and it almost talks about the same thing, man. I like to read and listen to books. I'm big into audiobooks, man. And just because I have a long ass commute to work.
Yeah.
I have a 47-minute commute, and obviously you can't drive and read. I'm sure some people do. I'm sure. I mean, there's some very talented people, multitaskers out there, but I can't drive and read at the same time. So I take advantage of my time. So anyway, that one's really cool too. Again, it talks about empowerment and it talks about leadership. And then what other book is really good? God, there's just so many.
Well, you think about that. You actually helped me accept audiobooks because I felt like it was cheating.
Oh, I'll tell you a quick funny story about that too.
They're like, wait, you do it? Yeah, I'm reading it. How? Well, I listen to it while I run, or I listen to it while I go to
Yeah.
work, and I'm like, wait, you do audiobooks? And you're like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shit.
And then you're like, and then they actually, what they do is for the Stoic, they're like, no, habla así el güey, lo te habla así el güey.
Yes, it's,
and I'm like, oh shit. Now in my head, I'm like, okay.
No, it's pretty badass, man. I'll tell you a funny story about audiobooks too in a bit. And then which will be another one. Can't Hurt Me. This is a book by David Goggins. I just finished listening to that one. That one's cool. That's a cool book as well, man. He's that guy's a badass, man. That's a hard motherfucker right there, bro.
Yeah.
I listen to that guy. I want to go run like 1,000 fucking million miles and shit, right?
Yeah. That's
I just finished listening to that book. That's a good book as well, man. Yeah, he's a hard motherfucker, bro. That guy overcame. That guy's story, bro, is very inspiring because that guy overcame so many adversities, man, and that guy just had a fucked up childhood, man, and that guy, like we say, man, por sus pinches huevos, man. That guy, he did it all, bro. That guy, Navy SEAL, he went through BUDS training twice. He went through Ranger school. He ran like chingos of fucking 100-mile marathons. Yeah. They call them ultras. And you listen to that guy or read his book. And the cool thing that the audible, or the audible part of it or whatever of the book, that one's cool because it's almost like a podcast, man.
Oh,
it's
shit.
It's super. It gives you like insight,
Oh, really?
behind the scenes. Yeah, it's super cool. It pumps you up, man. You know what I mean? He's a badass.
That guy's a beast.
That
man.
guy's the.
¿Y sabes qué, güey?
Y lo pa' acá la chingar, man. On top of that, the guy had a hole in his heart, bro.
What?
Yeah, it's just like you.
Like recently?
Well, I mean, he had 2 heart surgeries and whatnot.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that guy's his story is fucking phenomenal.
You
bro.
know what? Like, and there's things that I go through these where like it's too much. Like with him, it's too much, man. Like I have to, like in pieces.
Yeah.
Like even his not his podcast, 'cause I don't know if he has one, but like he'll come out on podcasts, and I'm just like, es mucho, güey. Like it's overwhelming, and like I have to like just remove myself.
It's tough, dude. It's but he's a
Porque está culero, güey.
He's a bad motherfucker, man. He's a bad motherfucker, man. My hats go out to that guy, man.
Yeah.
If I could lose as much weight as he did, shit.
Yeah, he was a big dude, huh?
Fucking, I think, God, man, he was up there, man. In the high fucking, I think 260 or something like that. But yeah, but anyway, that's a good book. I think Don't Drop the Mic. That's another book. He's a preacher, and man, I wish I would have brought the titles in along with the.
Es que no la quiero.
Okay, I mean, I could do cheating and bring out the
go
titles.
For it. Mira, esto es lo que va a hacer. Mira. Pero nomás que no sé.
Okay.
I don't think it would fuck this up. Never done this before. I would Google and record at the same time.
Oh.
I can't use my phone, but if you want to use your phone, that's fine.
I would have to stand up over there.
Oh, no. Mira, aquí mero. And this is what we'll learn.
There we
if
go.
we should be doing this or not.
Well, hey, man. Again, right? If you don't do it, you won't
know. What's your website?
So mine is it's www.ascendinglifecoach.
See what I did there?
.com, yeah.
Am I doing it right? See or no?
Yeah, it looks like
so. Ascending and then
lifecoach.com. You have to make sure you put. See, one thing that I learned, man, is if you don't put the www, if you just Google Ascending Life Coach, it's gonna put other ones. I guess because they paid more or whatnot, right?
Órale.
That's what I found.
Ya vieron cómo me regañó, pero me regañó así estilo compa.
Yeah.
Boom. There you go.
Estoy.
And then you have your books somewhere here, right?
So scroll down to the very bottom.
Right down. Everybody follow along.
And then right
Aquí?
there. Okay, so there's David Goggins. And then if you go to the top, a little bit go
Más arriba?
Scroll down.
¿Así?
The ones that más bajo. Dale. The other way. Andale. Okay, so there they are. So it is, right?
Yeah.
It's the 7 effective, right?
Yes. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey?
Yeah.
Covey.
There we go.
Okay, and then The Daily Stoic.
Daily Stoic.
By Ryan Holiday.
Yep. and
Write this
then
shit down.
and then the
TD Jakes.
TD Jakes.
Don't drop the mic. That's the one you were going to talk
That's the
about.
one. So the one, do not drop the mic. That one talks about you being able to kind of like find your inner self,
Okay.
and it talks about just things that are important when you talk about, and it's very, that book, anyone who does any kind of public speaking,
Right.
whether it's to one person or to the masses, if you will, it just talks about the importance of words, right? And words are so powerful because, you know, you could either build somebody up or you could truly bring somebody down
Yeah.
just by words. You know what I mean? And like they say, right, wars have started and ended with words.
With words.
Words are very powerful, and this book talks about how important it is, and it talks about not dropping the mics, and basically about how not fucking up.
Oh,
You know
okay.
what I mean? When
That's what don't drop the mic means?
exactly,
All
right?
right.
And you see the picture, it almost looks like he's kind of like just talking there and like he's about to, spit a verse or whatnot, right? And
Oh, sí.
yeah, no, it's a very good book, and it just talks about the power of words and how important it is, and to stay focused because your speech and your message, carries.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And look at all your you could look at all your leaders, bro. You could look at all your
You're like the influential people
exactly,
in history.
bro. Think about anywhere you're talking about, like now coming up, right? Martin Luther King,
Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali, Gandhi,
Yeah.
everybody, right? Uh, Mandela, everybody, right?
Yeah.
So you're talking about people who are very influential with their words and how important it is,
Yeah.
right? And also kind of like you can, like when you fuck up, you just kind of like, you can't unring that bell.
No.
You know what I mean? So
No.
it's,
Te digo por experiencia, we can.
but I think we all do that, bro. I think, sometimes we're a little bit hard on ourselves, right? I think that, we say something, we're like, chinga, man, I shouldn't have said that. But that's okay, because as long as you learn from it, you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
And we do that all the time. I've done it. Everybody, whoever has not ever fucked up saying something that they shouldn't have, they're just lying, right? We've
Yeah.
all fucked up at one point in our lives or another, man. We've said something we weren't supposed to. And we, as long as you find it in your heart to apologize and realize what you said, then I think you're okay.
Yeah. Ahí es donde sí agarran que, y me vale madre, y lo dije y qué. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like, nah, man, you need to reel that one in.
Yeah, sometimes, and we're not perfect, man. We're not perfect, and we have to realize that as long as you're growing and you understand that. But that book talks about the power of words.
Yeah.
And that's a really, really good book, man.
Wow.
That's a good book. So let me tell you about the audiobook.
Sí, sí.
So Audible, right? I got into that because of my commute, and I wanted to take advantage of my time, and I didn't want to spend it, and I wanted to learn something.
Yeah.
So I have this this lady that works with me, and she's a speed reader, right? Yeah. So I was talking about audio because I preach Audible to everybody, right? Excuse me.
Audible?
Audible,
The app?
The app.
Okay.
I'm like, you gotta get Audible.
Yeah.
You gotta. It's the best thing ever. And it's like, if you don't have time to read, then that's one thing. But you have to do it. You have to do it.
Yeah.
Right. So here I tell this lady, I said, hey, you like Audible? And she's like, what? The app? Yeah. Like, why? Like,
Yeah.
because of, audiobooks. It's, oh, that's cheating. And not, like on my webpage,
Yeah.
I put in there like I'll read and listen to. And I was like, God, man, you're right. You're probably like, I'm cheating.
Yeah.
So I started reading some of the books, to make sure that I could be legitimately say I listened and I read it.
Yeah.
But yeah, she like kind of like you're like she's like, no, that's. But then again, I found out that she's a speed reader. She could go through like a big book
Yeah.
in 3 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, she taught herself how to speed read.
Speed read.
Yeah, she literally she just kind of scans the page, bro. That's how.
Wow.
Yeah. So she's that powerful. So I'm like, well, now I'm gonna cheat and I'm gonna listen to them. And then what I like to do is that if the book is interesting enough, as an audio book, then I'll go ahead and listen and I'll read it. I'll buy it and do that.
Yeah, that's what I had planned to do too.
But it's cool, man. that you have to download Audibles, and maybe you should give me some cash for that, right? Or
I
whatever.
know, man. Pinche
Yeah,
promo.
pinchy promo for
Pinches
Audible.
culeros.
Yeah, but
But now it's yeah, and I caught myself wrestling with that idea of like, nah, man, you want to say you read a book, you can't say you read a book when you heard the book. Like
yeah.
that's not. But then I'm like, I think that goes into the mentality of like this is like part of technology, like the days,
Yeah,
like
and if you
this is what it is
Google,
now.
and I actually went as far as Googling it because I didn't want
Sí, güey, para que
to.
se calle todo el hocico,
I
por
didn't want
favor.
to be a liar. So you could actually, depending who you ask in Google, but they say you could actually say you've read the book if you listen to it.
Sas. No tengo pinche
That
gabo aquí
is
nomás porque no.
somewhere in Google you put it, and that's what it gives you a justification. It gives you a green light saying that if you listen to it, you could actually say you read it. But what I do, I'll put I listen to it, and then I'll go back and I'll read it, and I'll say both. That
La
way
pinche gente mamona.
sí, para que no ese pinche liar.
Sí,
Yeah.
sí. No lee ni ve, ¿cómo va a leer?
Sí, ándale. Have you seen the size of my glasses?
No te creas, güey.
Yeah. Pero fíjate que, but whether you listen to them or read them, the knowledge is the same. And
That's the thing. That's what you helped me. Sorry.
Mhm.
That's what you helped me get to the point of where I'm like, wait, you listen to him? You're like, yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm like, what the fuck? And I was like, you get the message.
Yeah.
As long as you get the message,
that's
it
the
doesn't
important thing.
matter, man. You know, and even then, you get a kick out of it more. I still have because I haven't gotten Audible. But when you told me like the way they break it down,
Yeah, it's awesome.
and I'm like, what?
You get the behind the scenes, and
Yo quiero ir a esa movie.
it's like a it's like a podcast. Sometimes I'm telling you the thing with David Goggins, it's pretty badass. But no, but let me tell you that some people, it's crazy though because some people are visual, right?
Yeah.
And some people, you know, depending how you are, some people are visual, some people have to touch. You know, they're more touchy feely,
Yeah.
and whatnot, right? And some people actually capture or keep the information, right, longer or more when they listen to it. You know what I mean?
Oh.
I'm the kind of person I'm a doer. I have to kind of like I have to physically do things, right?
Yeah.
I will not learn shit from a PowerPoint. If I look at it, I'll be like, you lost me, man.
Te
You know what I mean?
duermes.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
You don't read instructions.
Until it comes up all wrong. Yeah. It's yeah. And it's
But did you see how it costs you to be like, no, I don't.
no, I don't, man. Some people are kinetic, right? And I learned that. And
Yeah.
some people are visual. Some people, it's just they look at they open up the box and they put all the pieces on the floor and then they just go by feel,
Yeah.
right? I look at the diagram. I will not read the instructions. I look at the diagram and I say like, yeah, I could do this.
Yeah.
And then I put it down and I figure it out.
Yeah.
And then once I have parts that are missing or left over, they're like, all right. Then I go back and then I read the stupid instructions and then I
Where's the fucking? Oh, there it is.
yeah. and for me, I'll do it right, but I do it backwards, right?
Oh shit.
Like what was supposed to be inside is outside. I mean, it fits. It works, but it's like, caramba, Sasha, fuck yeah.
La
Right?
pinche mesa, las patas están arriba.
Sí, I mean, I just turned the table upside down.
Mira, sas.
Ahí está, se arregló. But some people are different, and I think that the people that I've turned into Audible, they really liked it. You know what I mean? And some people are not. Some people just like to read. They really like to just open up that book and just dive into it, and they
Yeah.
lose themselves. And I think that's great if you have time.
Yeah.
I think that I personally think that's the best way. I mean, I like to do it.
Yeah.
But when you're limited on time, you just gotta, do time and you just gotta do with what you got, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You got 45 minutes one way, 45 minutes coming back. So you got, almost 2 hours. You got an hour and a half or whatever of travel time.
Yeah.
You do something productive. To me, that or just staring at the desert while you're driving or listening to a book and trying to at least absorb some of that information is great. And then you take notes down if you can. And then if you like the book that much, go back, buy it, get the hard copy, read it, highlight your stuff, and there you go, man. And now you can say you read it, listen to it, and then that's it. You're the shit.
Yeah, man. And I think it's just one of those things where like older I don't say older people, but like people with more experience in life, I don't know. They have this thing where it's like, like, oh, it's new. It's not like how it used to be. Oh, back then it used to be like this. It's like we find ourselves where like times are changing to where it's
Yeah.
like you could hear a book. What do you mean you could hear a book? No, you could hear a book. Someone will read you the book, and
Yeah.
then you say you read it, but you didn't read it. Mira, mejor cállate, güey, y no lo compres. You know what I mean? It's
And,
like,
and fíjate, and it's funny, bro, because I I associate that with reading the book and watching a movie, right?
yeah,
And sometimes it might not be the same, right? But some people, like if we were to say, we were to compare a book that the movie is identical to the book,
see,
right? Some people are like, oh no, I'd rather read the book, and some people are like, no, I'd rather watch the movie,
yeah,
right? Because
boom,
it's gonna take me like 6 weeks to read the stupid book, but it's gonna take me 2 hours to watch the movie.
yeah,
And with popcorn, then maybe I could have a beer.
mm-hmm,
So again, who's wrong? It doesn't matter, man. You know what I mean? Because if, at the end of the day, if both of you get the same message, get the same idea, get the same concept, or the story, or whatever, who cares, man? You enjoy that. You have that. If it's a regular movie, let's say it's a superhero, well, you got that enjoyment. Some people, like I said, some people could really dig themselves into the book. They bury themselves in that book, and they're the shit, right?
yeah,
And they like to picture and they see themselves part of the character. I don't know, whatever.
yeah,
And some people are like, nah, I'd rather watch the movie, man. And
yeah,
some people will say like, nah, man, I'll wait for YouTube to go ahead and give me just the highlights, and there you go.
yeah.
You know what I
Guacala,
mean?
güey. Pinche.
You know what I mean? But then again, who's wrong, right? Like if
Yeah.
that's your preference, like, you know what I mean? For me, I'm telling you, man, I
Yeah,
love listening. And because going back to almost full circle of what we talked about music, I like to listen, man.
yeah,
I'm a person that I love to listen to music. I I I love to listen to details and like to verses and to certain instruments.
yeah.
So
You have a very specific way of listening to music.
I dissect it, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I do the same way when I listen to books because it's like certain things will kind of like trigger something,
yeah,
right? And I go back and then either I'll get the book or whatever the case might be.
yeah,
And but certain things will trigger certain things inside of me, right?
yeah,
And that's why I love to listen to books, right?
yeah.
Um
It works. It works for you.
to me it
You
works for
get the
me, and yeah,
message.
and it doesn't work for everybody, man. and
Yeah,
and I'm totally cool, like if people are like, ah, man, you're cheating, man, or like, nah, that's stupid. Well, if it doesn't work for you, then it doesn't work for you, man. Some people have a very short attention span,
yeah,
so maybe Audible is not the best thing for you, you know what I mean?
yeah,
But if you could stay focused and like really listen, then that's it. um but for me, going like what we're talking about, like I have a certain way of listening to things, like what you say, how you say it, what words you use.
mm-hmm.
It's important. It really is.
Yeah. No. That's very interesting. I want to go back to that. But speaking of books, that way we could leave that topic alone.
Mm.
Can you talk about the book I Dare You?
God, man, it's a book that I read. It's a little book that I gave you, right?
I think that's what started moving my wheels towards, you know, whatever the fuck you gave
Wow.
me, a
So
maturity, growing up.
that book is funny, man. It's funny how I came across that book because so back in 93,
O sea, ayer.
yeah,
Sí,
just yesterday.
sí.
So around 93, right? Around that time, we used to live on the east side, and then my mother bought a house over there by Lower Valley,
Mm.
and they bought the house from the couple that owned it before. I want to say one was a principal and one was a teacher, but so they were teachers. Let's just say that. So in one of the books, I'm sorry, in one of the closets, there was a lot of books. There was a bunch of books there, and I
No
remember,
mames.
yeah, like almost like a little mini library, right?
Yeah.
And
By the way, I don't know this story.
I never tell you.
No,
Oh,
güey.
okay. So
Por eso te estoy
yeah,
preguntando.
so they had like this little, a bunch of books, and my mom wanted to get rid of them.
No mames.
So she's like, nah, mejor, tíralos a la chingada. And I was like, no, mom, espérese, pues, they're kind of cool. So I took a lot of those books and I held on to them. And in there was that little book, I Dare You. And I thought it was a real cute little tiny little book, something that you would probably read in elementary and whatnot.
Sí.
And I started reading it, and I was like, I Dare
How
You.
old are you?
Oh God, the first time I read that book was
Or okay, what? Okay, were you in elementary? Were you in
No,
middle
no,
school?
no, no,
Were
no.
you in
I
high
had already
school?
no, plus I had already graduated. Yeah, because I had just I was
93?
yeah, I graduated in '93, man.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I graduated in '93, so I was already yeah, plus I had already,
Okay, okay, okay.
and I wasn't much into books, but it was just that
That
book
way I
just
can know where your level, like what EBIT are we talking about? You know,
yeah. So
Idris or
yeah, no, this is just out of high school.
okay, okay.
So, and mind you, I never, when even in high school, I never really cared to read the books. The only one I read was The Raven, Edgar Allan Poe, right?
Really, you read that?
Yeah, we had to.
Okay.
And you know how sometimes in
I was
high
like, tell
school,
me that story. I'm just
yeah,
playing. No, no.
you had to read like Anne Frank and whatnot, right? Remember?
It's easy.
Like there's books you have, and I hate it.
Yeah.
I just really hate it, and I never cared to read, and it was just like you know, because going back to stage fright, because they would always make us stand up and read a. Remember,
Oh, sí,
at,
sí.
at least for me, when I was going through high school, they would make us stand up and read a chapter, and then I had like really thick glasses, right?
Yeah.
And then I would get nervous,
Shit.
and it was just like all eyes were on me, and it's like, oh God, I'm gonna mispronounce this word. Oh God, and
Yeah.
I would hate it. But during that time, I had this really cool teacher, English teacher,
Yeah.
and we used to call him Egon, kind of like from the Ghostbusters.
Yeah, yeah.
He kind of looked like him.
What?
And so he'd like, oh man, you know, Edgar Allan Poe, and you know, what about the Raven? And it's like, cool, man. You know, it was I dug that. It was pretty cool.
Really?
So we did that, and anyway, so that ultimately led me to kind of wanting to read, and that's how when I came across that book, I read it. So that book,
What made you? Okay, so you're saying like there's a bunch of books. What made you gravitate
I
towards that
don't
one?
know. I
Yeah.
really don't. It was just maybe because
It's
of
the
the
fucking
size.
universe. That's what. No, I'm just playing.
It was a tiny little book.
Yeah.
Well, maybe like a 5x4, tiny little like a pocket book. It was just the cover was very it had a lot of texture.
Yeah.
Right. Remember. And I don't know, man. I just started reading it, and I thought it was really cool, man. And I just, like I said, man, I dug it. I thought it was really cool, and so it just challenges you.
Did it stick? Like did it register?
Yes,
It did.
but after a few times, right? You have to read, like there's certain things you have to just read over and over and over, right? To kind of get it.
Yeah.
And but just the concept of the book, just to I dare you, just do it. You know what I mean? The title itself kind of like challenged me.
Yeah. They're like what?
And growing up, man, I was very opposed structure, right? So like I dare you, like you couldn't tell me I dare you, bro. I mean, you know, back in the day, we were like I doggy, double doggy, dare you, triple,
Sí.
whatever, right? And no matter how stupid it was, I would always fall into that dare.
Yeah.
If you wanted me to do something dumb, and you know what, I think that actually, I think one of my sons is like that. I think that if you dare one of my sons to do something dumb, I think he will do it, and I think he gets that from me.
Oh.
Yeah, and
Well, at least you know where I got it from.
yeah, right.
That's
And
sorry.
see, so and I think that no, I don't do that anymore because I think I'm older and wiser now. But
Yeah.
I used to always fall into the "I dare you" trap.
Arre. Vamos.
See, like, hey, I dare you to do that. Ah, sí, órale, pues, let's do it.
Yeah.
And then later, I'm like, shinga, I shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I think that the title kind of like attracted me and captivated my mind and at least my attention. I'm like, I dare you to do what?
Yeah.
And it went from there, man.
Man, that book, like as you're going on with the story, I'm all because that book, you gave me that book. I don't even remember. I'm too embarrassed to say when, but you gave me that book whenever the fuck you gave it to me. I don't remember if Haley was born yet. I think she was.
She was.
Yeah.
She was little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you gave me that book one time, and then you just you gave me a speech and everything. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And then that was one of the first times where I was like, wait a minute, he cares about me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was like we had gone to a point in the relationship where it was past like a really good conversation because we would have really good talks, and I would always like, what the fuck?
Right.
Like, what is this?
Yeah.
You know? So, because you would really have me like evaluate things for myself and like really think, you know?
Yeah.
And that point was like a, what the fuck? he gave me a book. I have to read it.
Yeah.
I don't read, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, yo me pongo a leer y jeteo.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, shit. So I shit you not, man. I would take it. I took it home. I would open it and I would read it, and I wouldn't get it. I wouldn't even get 2 pages in. No, güey, te estoy diciendo la net. I was like, what? But the only reason why I didn't fucking breeze through that book was because you gave it to me.
Mm.
You know, first of all, you gave it to me. Second of all, I'm like, is this mine? Or I had to give it back. Sí, güey, porque no me quería dañar.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I need to read this book. I need to understand it.
Right.
And I would read it, and I shit you not, man. Así.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't get it. I don't know what this means. I don't get it. And I would put it away. I'm like, I'll try again later. And then a few days would pass, and I was like same shit, dude. It's like I was at that same day, and I would not get it. Then I tried a few weeks, tried a few months, and then I would just like have like a mental quick talk, you know, like a drive's worth of like, okay,
Yeah.
you need to read this book, right? Now looking back, I kind of felt like there was something to that book because you didn't tell me what it was about. You didn't tell me anything.
Right.
You just said, I'm going to give you this, read it, and let me know what you think. And I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
You know?
And she tested that shit.
Yeah, I was like, oh, shit, man.
Yeah.
But again, what made it different was that you didn't have to do it. And you were asking for my feedback. So I'm like, I need to understand what the fuck I'm going to tell him.
Yeah.
So we would meet up, you know, birthday party, whatever, beachy Easter, whatever. And I'm like I can't.
Here comes a pop quiz.
No, wait, no te podía decir, pues ya acabé, a ver.
Yeah. Right.
You know,
Right.
put my name, you know, I can't.
Right.
So I'm like, oh. So it was like a thing in the back of my mind where like, I need to get that fucking book, man.
Yeah.
I need to because, and then as we would go on, we'd have talks.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't bring up the book. And I'm like, I need to read that book. Pues a ver qué pedo. And I would sit down and I would read it, and then I got like 4 or 5 pages through, and it would stick. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I would keep on reading. I'm like, pues para no hacerte la larga, así me pasó, güey. And I just put it away, and I'm like, before I put it away, for a while, I'm like, this book is asking me to grow the fuck up.
Yep.
And I'm not there yet. It's asking something from me. It's asking for me to understand it. And I am not mature enough to understand it right now. Right? Because I got to a certain point, I don't know, less than half.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. I put it away, and I made it a thought like, I'm not gonna go back and forth with it anymore. I'm gonna have it in the back of my mind and put a pin in it. And then when I'm ready, I'm gonna open it and I'm gonna read it.
Yeah.
Because I read up to a certain point, and I was like, oh, I get what this is about. And what always tripped me out in the back of my mind was that, how is this so short? And it's like a loaded message.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, I'm so curious to see how this ends, you know? So, yeah, I let some time pass, a few fucking months.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, I think from the time, porque no me acuerdo exactly, but I know from the time you gave it to me to the time I gave it back, it's a few years, a couple years, 2, 3 years. But I was so glad that I waited, not that I waited, that I consumed it, that I understood that I needed to wait, give myself time to read that book, because that book opened the doors to me I get maturing, you know, and growing up, being honest with myself.
Good.
Like all these things to where I was like, man. So, I mean, you're recommending books, but if I had to, from you, I recommend that book. It's called I Dare You by Dan. ¿Cómo se llama? No, I Dare You by William H. Danforth.
Super old book.
It's a really old book. And then came the fucking awkwardness. But I was like, I'm not. Well, déjame te digo what made it awkward was at the end of the book, it says, give this book to someone.
Yes.
And I was like, entonces si es mío, güey. You know?
Mhm.
But I was like, nah, I can't. Like, I can't give something that wasn't mine, but the book said. So I was like, back and forth, back and forth. And I never knew how you found it. So I'm so glad I gave it back to you.
Oh no,
Because the
man.
way you found it was like, toma, way. You know what I
No,
mean? Like, the
yeah,
universe
no.
is like, here you go.
It was
So,
yours, man. I
no, wait,
mean,
no.
why you gave it back, I don't know, but
No,
yeah,
because I couldn't keep it. You know what
those
I mean?
and you know what, a hard lesson in life that we all struggle with is paying it forward. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I think that that's a hard lesson for all of us, man. And
Yeah.
you know, we have to figure out a way, and it's something that I hope that I get better at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, I know that I have paid a lot of things forward through my blessings, right?
Yeah.
But there's just so much more that I need to do. You know what I mean? I always, it's funny because I always talk to my wife about this, and I always tell her, I wanna do this, and I wanna pay it forward, and all of a sudden I wanna be like, you know, eh, this investor, and I wanna just, invest on kids and invest in the elderly, and
Yeah.
you know, and she calls me on it all the time, man. And that's one thing,
Hi.
and that's one thing that I love about her, that she keeps me honest, because sometimes we lose track, right?
Yeah.
And I that book, give it to somebody. It comes down to that, to paying it forward, and we have to hold ourselves accountable, man, to paying it forward, especially when we have so many blessings.
Yeah.
Um, and little things like that, even just a book, bro, even just a book,
No, that shit just like
you have to,
changed it changed my life.
yeah,
It changed my point of view. I think that's the most important thing that I got from that book. And it's very simple. It's only like 100 and something, but like, wait, estás hablando de que, like,
I don't even think it's
Roberto,
100. I think it's like 48 pages, man.
gracias,
Yeah.
gracias. 2, 3 years for 48 pages,
40,
eh?
and the size of a 4x8, yeah, like a 4x8 little note card.
Chimadrecita.
Yeah,
No, and
yeah,
I was like, God damn, I feel so dumb. But at the same time, it's like, that's where I was at.
yeah,
That's where I was at. And como te digo, and I never told you when I gave you the book back, I was like, I read it. I
yeah.
was like,
You
here you go.
did
You're like, you did? I'm like,
good.
yeah. What do
Yeah,
you think? Like, yeah, we went back and forth, but I didn't want to claim ownership of it because it's. I don't want to say it's really strong in that point, but it makes it a point to be like, this is yours. Now you, como dices tú, pay it forward.
pay it forward, man.
Now
And that's why
you get what you got from this book.
and
Now
move
it's
on.
your duty
Yeah,
to give that to someone else.
and that's what that book is, and I think that's why, maybe, I don't know, but that's why I think that they made it so tiny and so inexpensive, that it's not like you're giving a very expensive book. You know what I mean? It's just a
Yeah.
little book, a little, little, the size of a note card, 58 pages, whatever,
Yeah.
however, and then just
3 years.
three
Gracias.
years. And
Gracias.
read it, pay it forward,
Yeah.
and hopefully you give it to somebody that would get at least something out of it and move along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I sure did, man. I sure did. I'm super grateful for that book. And that's where the you know, the message was received of like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, what the fuck? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And then
And
I
it's
start being aware.
it opens up, man. I think like little things like that open up almost like a pathway, right? Like
Yeah.
and that's what I think that's the important thing, that you just kind of like help somebody, guide them,
Yeah.
point them the right direction, because, I didn't have that. I kind of, I'm very blessed with very loving people around me, and but growing up, reading was not our strong point, right? And I don't think in our culture, right?
Obvio.
We always, like, we were too busy working,
Mhm.
putting food on the table and whatnot, right? So reading was not a big thing in my family. Um, Hell, can't even remember any of my brothers that read shit. You know what I mean? I take it back. I take it back. My oldest brother did read the newspaper, but all he read was the sports. But at least he read.
Yeah, man. At
And
least it's something.
so at least in my mom's side, or on my mom's side, we were not too much into literature, right?
Yeah, we weren't either, man.
And I guess on my dad's side, I guess aside the Bible and whatnot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so books was not a big thing in my
Yeah.
family. So once I started doing that and reading and whatnot, it was like, and it was funny, dude, because even in high school, I was too cool, right? I always wanted to be the cool kid and like always hanging out with the wrong crowd and but I was a little nerd in heart,
Oh yeah.
at heart, bro. Yeah, because it was funny because I like reading articles and I like reading like little like magazines and stuff, and I like just reading a little bit, but I never took ownership and I never claimed it, right? Because I would hang out with the the thugs and the gangsters and God forbid, bro, they caught you with a book, man.
Oh, see.
You know what I mean? Like you better not even walk with books, man. You leave everything in the locker and slam the locker, right?
Yeah.
And but a part of me like reading. You know what I mean? A part
Really.
of me like reading, and I like. I'm telling you, that's why Egon was so influential on me because he would talk to me about literature. He would talk to me about
Mm.
poems, like Edgar Allan Poe. Like who the hell is that? You know what I mean? Like the Raven. Like who gives a shit about the bird, right?
Yeah.
And I got so deep into that I actually wrote the poem, The Raven, but I made it and I put a spin to it called The Craven. Yeah,
What?
yeah, it was funny, man. And
In high school?
yes, I did that. So it was called The Craven, and I was playing with words really all I was doing. But I was talking about the craving, like in craving.
Yeah.
And you're in high school, man, so you're a little pervert, right?
Yeah.
So I was just all my shit was all sexual innuendos,
Yeah.
right? It was all sexual.
That's funny.
And I remember I wrote The Raven into my own called The Craven with a bunch of sexual innuendos, and I read it in front of the class.
What?
Yeah, and he dug it, man. He loved it.
The
And he
teacher?
yes, and it wasn't dirty, but it had a lot of dirty messages. And and he gave me an A. I remember, man. He gave me an A plus, whatever. And he's like, and because of his influence on me, I think I turn into literature and I turn into reading poems and stuff like that. So for this minute, I would just read poems. You know what I mean? I
Wow.
thought I was this walking poet, right? And but again, goes to show you the influence of people, right? The positive influence on people.
Yeah.
And mind you, I hate to read in front of of a crowd,
Yeah.
but yet in his class, I would feel so free and I would feel so comfortable that I was able to express myself.
Yeah.
Goes back to the books that I was talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
powerful words are and how people with the right influence could motivate someone to do stuff like that.
Yeah, man, because you never know like, I don't know, man. Books, we weren't big on books either. I would, como te digo, yo empezaba a leer y yo me dormía, güey.
Mm-hmm.
Pero one of the things, like throughout my school, like elementary, middle school, high school, was that my highest grades were English writing and reading.
There you go.
And I didn't learn that till high school. Till
Mm-hmm.
my teachers told me, like, why are you so? Because, wait, yo, pero, bueno, pues I was going through other shit too. Pero yo in my junior year,
Mm-hmm.
I was taking freshman English, sophomore English, and junior English.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was fucking up hard. Pero no era que no me gustaba, because they would tell me, like, we went back and we saw your grades and those are your highest grades. This is your strength.
Yep.
And I'm like, are you serious? And they're
Yep.
like, yeah, well, what's going on? And I'm like, no, déjame te digo, güey.
Yeah.
You know? Pero I guess me knowing that too, me puse las pilas. I'm like, I got this shit. This shit is like, are you serious? So now when I would read, I would like, you know, just open that up and be like,
Yeah.
I could do this.
And I think that is one of the things we have to understand, man, because le ponen las pilas a alguien, you lead them to or on the right direction rather, right?
Yeah.
And you don't know, bro. You don't know who you're gonna influence, how you're gonna influence them, how you're gonna turn them into becoming somebody positive, right?
Yeah, yeah. And this is like people, I'm pretty sure like people that know us, they're gonna be watching this and be like, this is what they talk about?
Yeah.
Like this is what, where's the fucking juice? Where's the, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
no, this is it. You know?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
because we need to like whether we know it or not, and you let me know this like way later, we're like when we talk, it's like, oh shit, and like you recharge your battery.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So with me, I'm like, wait, no mommy, like I need direction, I need this and I need that, and you would just like we would just talk and talk and then I like, all right, cool. And
Yeah.
then you wouldn't tell me, you never tell me what to do. We just talk. And then like I get it. You know what I mean? And I feel like I'm lucky. I've always felt like I'm lucky because again, you don't have to. You know what I mean? Cuz you have family, like blood family. You have friends that you've known longer. Like you have your people, you know what I mean? So for
You are
me,
my people, bro. What are
no,
you talking
now
about?
sí, güey, now huevo, you know.
Yeah.
pero before, you know, like when I was learning, like after the book, right after the
Yeah.
book, I'm like, why? Because I would always like, I'm so used to, um, I don't know what's gonna happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at that point, it was only Diana and the kids, not even the kids, just Haley.
Yeah.
So we're like, this is like I'm living for us and no sé qué pedo. Like I'm just trying to figure this shit out. So
Yeah.
for someone to be like, hey, here you go. Have that. Food for thought. Hey, here you go. What about
You're right.
this? Hey, what hey, toma, and what about and I'm just like, why is he doing this shit? You know what I mean? Like, why? And it stopped being why and it's just like we're fucking family, man. Like
Yep. That's how we roll, man.
like it's just
Yeah.
like you know, and como te digo, and then to fast forward all these fucking years and shit, for me to discover the Stoic and then me learning it, you know, and I'm like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And I'm like, boom, I'll give it to Ebbet
Yeah.
because I owe him so much.
That's a badass book, man.
And when I gave it to you, just like I didn't know what was gonna happen. I was just like, look, dude, here's a fucking book, and you know. And when you were just like, wow, you just fucking took it, and it just like, have you read it? I'm like, oh wait, no, mama's like, yeah, I don't even read it. Like because you could either read it day by day,
Right.
right? Or you could just
Go through it.
go through it, and you're like, no wait, I go through it, and I'm like,
Oh,
oh
yeah.
shit, and I'm like, no wait, I go day by day, and like, nah, man, this shit is just. And I would see how you know you were consumed by it and how
Yeah.
much you were taking from it, and I'm like, yes, like,
That.
because I again, not that I'm ever gonna meet what you've done for me, but like I got like a big satisfaction,
That book
like
was
God damn it, man, like I
that
owe you, and I could at least give you that, you know?
that book, bro. I kid you not, man. I have it in hard book when hard copy when you give it to me, and I've read it. I'm not exaggerating. I must have listened to this book, and I'm not even bullshitting you. Like at least 10 to 15 times.
No, I believe you, because
And
when we would talk,
yeah,
when we'd meet up, I read it again.
yeah,
What?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm halfway through it again. I'm like, what the
That
fuck?
I would listen to it even during my workouts.
Yeah.
And it's a very monotone voice that when the the narrator
Yeah.
and reading it is very difficult to keep up with it because it has so many like sidebars that when you it's when you read it and when you listen to it are two different things. I rather listen to it than read it. Reading it, it kind of throws you off a little bit. But anyway, nonetheless, um, and every single time I listen to it, I pick something different. I pick something new. I pick something that relates to my current life. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And that's the importance, man. You get the message, you're good, man. You're
Yeah,
good.
and that's I'm it made me so happy
Yeah, man.
for you
Thank you.
to say that because
Yeah, thank you.
that's what our talks do for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It was like, what the fuck, man? Like I don't talk to my dad, I don't talk to my mom, I don't have anybody. I don't have anybody like guidance wise, I don't
yeah,
have anybody. And it's just like little and it's like little by little way like throughout the years and it's just like we just the bond just grew tighter and tighter
yeah,
and tighter till like all right, I'm just gonna stop wondering why he cares so much and I'm just gonna accept it, you know what I mean,
yeah,
because there's no ill will, which goes back to the whole salesman thing. Like you are a very good salesman but you are different, which I mean, como te digo, I don't know how other else to put it. Like you aren't there for the or maybe you are for the thrill or whatever, but like you just you you're really engulfed in that thing that is sales. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're so much more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, God damn it, man. Like, it's you're all these things to where it's like, yeah, you don't have to be one thing. You know, you are what you are. You make a living through whatever you make a living with. Plus you're this, plus you're a dad, plus you're a husband, plus you're this, plus you're that. But and you're not perfect. You know, you let me know this plenty of times. Like,
I always tell that to people,
do
man.
not put me on a fucking
Don't
pedestal.
ever put me on a pedestal because I will disappoint you.
Yeah, and that's another
Yeah.
thing too, where I'm like, good, you know, because
We're not perfect, man.
yeah, and
yeah.
it made us grow even tighter because obviously Roberto no es perfecto.
Yeah.
Soy muchas cosas.
Perfecto no soy.
Perfecto, mira,
And
mejor darle a ese güey de allá porque
it's funny, man, because I've had many people, you know, give me props and you know, speak very nice, you know, of me, and I thank them for that. But the minute they start doing that, I kind of almost get a little bit uncomfortable. And I always tell them, don't ever put me on a pedestal because I will disappoint you. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And you know what they say, you know, don't have any expectations. That way you know don't have any regrets and whatnot,
Yeah.
whatever.
But I get why they do that because, and to be honest with you, before you told me that, I don't know if I ever did. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't, but that wasn't my intentions. If I did,
Yeah.
you know what
No,
I mean?
you didn't. But you know, and you never did. But I try to do the best I can with what I got. Right.
Because you let me know through our conversations, it's like we really see eye to. By the
Mhm.
way, this is where like the whole generation and age difference shit, and if you don't get it, you don't get like, oh, it's because it like no, we're 12 years apart.
Yeah.
We're 12 years apart, pero así no las llevamos, güey. Si ahorita paramos nomás porque, pero like these are our conversations.
Yeah.
It's
That's
just back.
true, man.
It's
That's
so
true.
fucking fluid. And remember, you would
Yeah.
you would fuck around. You would play around, and you would say, "Pinche podcast, way, pinche
Yeah.
como nos aventamos las pinche," and it's like, yeah, it's true. And then now look.
Yeah. You know, it's the law of visualization, right? You see it and it'll come true.
Yeah, man, it's fucking crazy.
But it's true though, man. I mean, it's one of those, right? We're not perfect. No one is. You know, just God is. But you know, do the best you can with what you got, man. Work on yourself. Make sure that you work every day and always try to be a better person than you were yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's a big struggle. It's a big struggle with everybody, man. I always there's this person I listen to too, and this person says, you know, look yourself, and I think I asked you the same thing. Like you look yourself 5 years back, and if you're the same person you were 5 years ago, you haven't grown, right?
Yeah.
And you need to evolve. You need to change. You need to reinvent yourself. I always tell the people that I work with, you got to reinvent yourself every 2 years.
Yeah.
Every 2 years, you got to be something different. You got to add something to your, you know, to your toolbox, to your, you know what I mean? Improve something, you know, get rid of something that's been holding you back. You know what I mean? Get with the times, and people don't, because people stay stagnant. And we need to grow, man. You need to evolve. You need to just get better, and that's what you need to do.
Yeah, and
don't
just get over it, man. Like you just need to. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I said, and that's exactly right, man. Just get on with it, man.
Yeah, you need to just stop overthinking, and this is someone that like I overthink a lot, like a lot, like a lot. Like te compró el pinche, te dije la otra vez para comprar ese pinche mic stand, güey.
Yeah.
Me tardé casi como un mes, güey.
Yeah.
Como un mes, like, do I really need it? Do I not need it? Do I really need it? Well, let me YouTube. YouTubing, how, like, come on, man.
Yeah.
It's just, I run it to the ground. But through all this growth and understanding, learning to understand yourself through your flaws and your, what is it, the good shit, whatever that is, you learn to understand yourself, and the that's actually like good for you.
Yeah.
Cause like, okay, yeah, like ya me conozco, like I'm gonna go through this shit. I'm gonna go through my little fucking process and this and this and that. These chairs, they're the fucking patio chairs. I shit you not a bit. I've been Amazoning and fucking Googling and YouTubing
Yeah.
chairs
Yeah.
for fucking 2 weeks.
But you know what? Like, I don't know if you have what I have. I have always that buyer's remorse, and you're not on not only that. Like, I think that because we are so focused on providing for others that we don't buy shit for ourselves.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I again, you know what I mean? My wife always reminds me, like, oh, go get another wardrobe or go buy this. Ah, no, 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 aguanta todavía, you know what I mean? And but you know what? I'm okay, buying my kids stuff. I'm okay, buying stuff for the house, whatever.
Yeah.
I won't even think twice.
Yeah.
When it comes to buying stuff for me, nah, I'm good. I want that look, but like, yeah, it's what I mean.
Yeah.
But then again, it goes back to what I'm preaching, that you need to love yourself, man. You have to find time to spoil yourself. You need to find time to, you know, reward yourself with whatever is it that you wanted to buy yourself. If you wanted to buy yourself an expensive watch, do it if you could afford it, if you deserve it, and you don't harm anybody by doing that. It's not like you're okay. Well, I'm gonna buy this, and now I'm not gonna pay the electric bill, and I'm not gonna pay the mortgage. Then okay, then you have a problem.
Yeah. Or don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. But if you have you have the money, you have the means, the ability, do it, man. Reward yourself, because it's self gratifying, man, and you have to love yourself. And remember, I just told you not too long ago, I did that. I kind of bought something that perhaps I didn't have to buy, but I did it because I believe in myself, and because I think that I owe that to myself. Now, the the what do I call it? The strict person, within me, um, might have said like, no, you didn't really have to buy that.
Yeah.
But then the other part of me was like, hey, man, you know what? I work hard for what I do. I mean, I work hard, and I think I deserve it. I believe in myself.
Yeah.
And this is an investment on myself. But, do it, man.
Yeah.
Do it. If you have the means and the ability, please take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Love yourself.
And I think what it is, and my wife is the same way. You know what I mean? Diana's the same way. Like, ¿qué compraste?
Mm-hmm.
For what? Do you need it? And so I have that in the back of my mind too. And I'm like, well, they're chairs. You have fucking 60 fucking chairs. You're telling me you're going to buy 2 more. And I'm like,
162.
Well, no, it's because these are for and it's just like, and that goes back to the whole like, but it keeps you grounded too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Pinche humildad viene así, güey.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's true.
Yeah.
You need that part to like, do you need it? Do you fucking need it, or is it just gonna be lying around?
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a tool, it's a this, it's a that. And I've gone through every single piece of equipment you see around here. I've gone through that obsessive stage to where like, do I need it? Yeah, well, it's because it would help. It would help. But do you need it? Well, and it's just like a fucking, it's that black hole where I'm like, before I would dread it, but now it's just go through it and then see how you come out.
Yeah.
And if you cool, if not, whatever. And then I could run it by, Diana, and like, I'm thinking about getting this and this. It would help with this and this and this and that. See or no? What do you think?
Yeah.
Should I get it? And then she would be honest with me. But I think it's because of that. You know what I mean? It's because like, canijo. No, pues don't you have this and this? And like, pendejo, sí cierto. Okay. And that's it. But we're so afraid of like, no, don't look at me. Or I got it because I got it.
Yeah.
Well, and te valga madre a ti, güey,
And there's some people that just buy stuff just to fucking buy, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's where it's like, nah.
You're a hoarder, right?
Yeah, so it's just like, I need that. And to go back to the music and me, I've always said this to where like I have a team, as this music thing goes, that I run everything by. And it's Diana, and it's Haley, and it's you. And I don't care what anybody else has to say. All I care about is your guys' feedback. And that's how this shit started. And we've created a good...
yeah, man. You made a good path, man. And that's important.
Yeah.
It's very important.
And I've learned like, okay, you might say no sometimes, but the majority kind of, you know what I mean? and then we go with it, you know. So
Yeah.
in the end, I have the final say, but your guys' opinions are what I really,
You
you
need
know,
to. You need to have, an
because you've told
understanding.
me before, like, it's all right, or like, need to work on it, or whatever it is, and I'm like it hurts, but it's a good hurt. It's like a stay working.
Well, I mean, it goes
He's
back.
not talking shit.
Yeah.
He's not being a dick. He
Well,
cares.
because that's the what you need to hear. You know, what I mean, it
Yeah,
serves me no purpose, and I will do you no service if I'll do you a disservice if I were to tell you like, oh man, it's badass, but it sounds like shit.
yeah. I don't
You
want
know what
that.
I mean?
I don't want that.
And you need to grow. We all need that
Yeah,
because why? Because we always like to surround ourselves with people that tell us what we want to hear, and we don't surround ourselves with people that tell us what we need to hear.
yeah.
You know?
And you three do that. You know what I mean? You guys all have different ways of delivering the message, but you guys do it, and I'm
Yeah.
like, good. Don't stop doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I want to go back to like the way you consume music, or at least the way like when I send you something. That's why like I take my time with my shit, and then I don't fault anybody else for doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I know that when I send you something, you see it, you'll get back to me when you get back to me.
Yeah.
But you have a process, right? I don't know if
Mhm.
it's just for my. I don't think it's just for my shit, right?
No,
It's just
with everything with the
yeah,
music I do
yeah.
have a
So
process.
what's your process? Just like really quick, like just
Like basically like when I listen to, especially like when you send me music,
yeah,
the first time I'll listen to it, I'll just let it play and I'll just listen to for just to see how it sounds, the
yeah.
beat, if it's catchy, if it's not.
That's phase one,
Yeah, that's phase one.
the
It's just
beat.
like, okay, cool, man, I dig it. And then the second time I'll listen to it, and then I'll listen to just the lyrics. I don't care about the beat, right? I don't care if you're on time. I don't care if it's the beat falls within, I mean, if I'm, it's just the lyrics.
Yeah,
What are you saying? Why are you saying it? Does it even make sense? Are you painting a picture? Are you telling me a story? And then the third time, I put both together,
mm,
right? So the first one's just like whatever. And, just like, is it catchy? Is there something I could jam to?
yeah,
Then the second time is like, what are you telling me in your lyrics?
right.
And then the third time is like, okay, does both go together? Are you hitting the beats, right? You know what I mean? However many bars you're doing, are you hitting it? Boom, boom, boom. Are you right on cue? Are
Mm.
you missing it? Are you too fast? Are you too slow? Right? And then I'll listen to it as as a fan.
That's the fourth phase.
Yeah, I'll listen to it as a fan. Like, is this something that I'm gonna play? Is this
Mm.
something that I care to listen to? Is this something that brings me? And then at the end is the overall picture. What am I taking away from this song? Am I happy? Am I sad? Is it depressing? Is it inspiring? Do I want to cut my veins? Is it bullshit? I mean, is this guy so? And then I think that brings me back to kind of like the way I would tell you how I would do music, right?
Mm. Mm.
To me, because I'm old school rap, right?
Right.
And here I go, right, sounding, kind of like putting my age out there, I guess, right?
No, no, because
But
now I'm considered old school rap too.
yeah, but
The
now,
fuck.
when I was growing up and I listened to rap and music, it would always tell you a story, man. It always paint, it would paint this beautiful picture, or maybe not beautiful, right? Maybe it was just violent at the time, but it would paint this picture and it will carry you through a story.
Yeah.
And some of the people that I would listen to, they were great storytellers. I mean, talking about like Slick Rick, um, Public Enemy, NWA, So they will paint this picture and they would carry you through. You would close your eyes and you were riding shotgun in the 64 Impala, doing drive-bys, whatever the stupid shit that we're doing, and you could see yourself there,
Yeah.
right? And that would be like if you were listening to NWA. And I'm very, not that one is better than the other, but I'm very pro West Coast. I
Yeah.
like East Coast, but I like West Coast
Yeah.
more. But because I grew up listening to NWA, I grew up listening to a bunch of like Too Short, Oakland, and so anyway, so I would just close my eyes and listen to them, listen to the lyrics, and see how vivid their picture was. You know what I mean? Like Scarface. Scarface is a hell of a storyteller, man. That guy, you could just taste, the story. That's how vivid it is. So I'm like that, right? nowadays, I'm not saying that it's better than it was before, but now it's like it's hard for, at least for me, to keep a visual of it, because again, I'm very, visual, and I like to see things. So I can't picture the song. I cannot picture the story. So today's music, it's hard for me to keep up. Maybe because I'm getting older, maybe because I don't have the patience. But again, you look at whatever the new artist is today, and you bring him back to, like, Too Short, and even before that, you're going back to even Houdini,
Yeah.
old shit like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, right? Are we comparing apples with oranges? I don't know.
I think it's just um I think hip hop in specific is getting to a point where, like, you know how they say don't talk politics and religion.
Right.
I think hip hop is getting to that, as far as like what era.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because everybody has their, like, oh, wait, no hables de los pinches 90s porque te parto el hocico. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, this is the golden era. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But then the same thing goes with with the newest shit, to where it's like,
Yeah.
this is really good shit. Like,
Mhm.
I relate to it because, and then you're just like, huh?
Yeah.
Why? And
Yeah.
and then there's just like, because, but it's not. They don't. They don't gravitate towards the same shit that we
Yeah.
gravitate towards. You know what I mean?
And it's different, man. I really do think that it's you know each generation is different.
Yeah.
I think that what my kids listen to, I tried listening to it. I love Pop Smoke. God rest his soul.
Yeah.
But I think his shit is cool.
Yeah.
I think he's cool as shit.
Yeah.
Um, but I noticed that a lot of the new artists kind of like almost like gravitate back to the old school.
Yeah.
Like some of the old beats, and it's funny, man,
But
because
it goes to what you say, like, it's all
it's a
fucking-
circle, man. Life is a circle, man.
Yeah.
Everything comes back, man. And like I'll listen to some of the new artists, and I'll listen to it, be like, wait a minute, man, that's Public Enemy, man. And then the funny thing is that you listen to Public Enemy, and like, wait a minute, man, that's not Public Enemy, man. That's Luther Vandross
Yeah, James
or
Brown.
James Brown. It's just a loop,
Funky drummer.
dude. What did they say? Like 75% of rap was looped from a James Brown
Yeah.
album.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you go and you ask yourself, like, where did James Brown got the shit from? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it again, right? Life's a circle and it repeats itself, right?
Yeah.
So it's crazy, man. But I like to listen to some of the new artists, some of the new stuff that comes out,
Yeah.
and I could almost like 8 times out of 10, I could identify a loop.
The sample.
Oh yeah, I could find the sample.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be like, no, mames.
yeah.
And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, that's brand new. No, it's not brand new, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was Slick Rick, man, or
Yeah.
that was DJ Quick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I don't like to like I don't like to like, not that I don't like to talk about like the new music, because it's like whatever, but you're not gonna convince people. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
if people like this certain type of music, that's what they like. You're not
Yeah.
gonna change their mind, dude.
And I think that goes back to what going kind of like circle back to what you were talking about. That's how I guess break down
Yeah.
music, right?
Now I picture you
Yeah.
like, oh, Robert sent me something, right? Because it has to be about me. So, he sent me something. Dim the lights, sit on your throne, put on your fucking headphones, and press play, and then go through these stages and shit.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
oh, con mi pisto también,
Yeah,
and like,
yeah,
just like, and so I say that to be like, to say, that's why I'm not a big fan of like throwing a bunch of shit out there.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Just flood, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Because if I do that with my shit, you know what I mean? Like, there's already been a process. ¿Cómo se dice? A process has been done already
Right.
before I send it to you. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So now it's like, okay, it's up to this point. If it's finished, it's finished. If it's not, like, hey, what do you think? It's an idea. Send it to you. Now you go through your process.
Yeah.
Now, the lives that we live, we have, we're living our lives,
Yeah.
but we want to make sure, if you're going to take this serious
Yeah.
and listen and evaluate and dissect, you're gonna carve out time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we all have busy lives, so it's like, holy shit. Like that's how much the appreciation goes to like for you to like give me the feedback. It's like it's not taken lightly. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No, I get you.
Then it's like, damn man, like he almost put as much effort into listening to it and giving me feedback as I did to fucking make it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, and that's I mean, because that's how we roll, man. You know
Yeah,
what I mean, that's how we roll.
and it's much appreciated because like with Dan and Haley it's different. With Dan and Haley una vez y te dicen todo, pero
Yeah.
parece que hicieron lo que tú hiciste.
Yeah, because everybody has their own way of
Yeah,
dissecting it, right?
like pa right here, and I'm like,
Yeah.
God damn, man, like,
And I put myself like, because my background, man. You know, what I
mm,
mean, there was a time in my young life when I wanted to do that too, right? So I always picture that as well. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And there were different times when I was trying to make music, but even at that, it was kind of like I put myself in your shoes and see what it would flow back then,
yeah,
right? Because I always picture myself like, hey, man, if you put this out to the public, you know what I mean, and are they gonna be receptive to that? You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
No, yeah, and it's much appreciated, and that's why
Yeah,
I don't
man.
mess around with. But again, that's why it's only three of you.
That's
You
it,
know what I
man.
mean? And accurate,
Go.
but me and accurate are like here doing it,
Yeah.
creating together. So, but even then, it's like it's just the sending out the like, hey, come here.
Yeah.
What do you
No,
think?
that's important, man, because you do, right?
Yeah.
You have to acknowledge the people that are important in your life and take their perspective
Yeah.
and then implement that into your life.
Yeah, Heli, nomás la veo que empieza. I'm like, I got her.
Yeah.
Nomás empieza dancing, or she'll hear it, and then I'm call her and she's like, I already heard it. It's good.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, canijo.
Oh yeah.
Excuse me.
Hmm.
Nah, but I feel lucky. I feel lucky that I have all you to do that because everybody cares, and
Yeah.
I'm
And it comes
uh,
from a
an honest place, right?
exactly. It comes from a place of caring, bro.
Yeah. No, thank you, thank you. I got a few more questions for you. Um, okay, so you this is one of the things where I had an idea, not even I had like a very small feeling, right? And I was like, I don't know what this is, but I want to execute it, but I don't know how. I don't know. I don't even know, right? Nomás
Hmm.
me la quedaba viendo. And then one day you said we were having a talk and you mentioned changing our trajectory.
Yeah.
And you just made that plan like like you gave it a fucking purpose of what I had in my head. Talk about what you mean by changing our trajectory.
So for me, changing the trajectory means changing your life, right? And what does that mean, right? So I think that for the most part, people like to say like, okay, I was dealt this hand of you know of cards or whatever, and that's it, right? I gotta take it and accept it. Well, I refuse to believe that.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people say like, well, my family's poor. My family came from drug addicts, alcoholics, whatever. Therefore, I need to be an alcoholic, or poor, or whatever the case might be, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you continue the vicious cycle, man, and that's bullshit, right? It's bullshit, and it's a cop out, man.
Yeah.
We have the right, and we have the choice and the ability to stop the vicious cycle, right? If you came from a family where dad kicked the shit out of your mom, it doesn't mean that you have to kick your wife's ass, man, or beat your kids, whatever the case might be, man. You could stop that. You change the trajectory right there, right? And the same goes with money. The same goes with career. The same goes with education, right? Always stop it there. Wherever the buck stops with you, man. And then from that point forward, you're gonna change your life and your family's trajectory. You know what I mean? I hate to listen to people as like, well, because my dad was like this, I have to be like this, and my son has to be like this. No, it does not, man. If it's not something progressive, no, it does not. You know what I mean? My kids have to be better than me. You know what I mean? At least I pray to God that they are. And I'm going to give them every opportunity and ability for them to do that. Right. And I'm sure my father thought the same as me. Right. And, I try to explain the changing of trajectory to many people. And some people get it, some people don't. Right. But I always tell people, man, change everything with you, especially when it comes down to your kids.
Mm-hmm.
When you're by yourself and you don't have any kids, it's a little bit different, or it's a little difficult to understand it, because you might ask yourself, well, what am I leaving to whoever, right?
Right.
Now you leave a legacy behind, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's the important thing. You always have to make sure that you leave an important legacy behind. And for me, changing the trajectory is, I did not come from money. You know what I mean? And I'm not making that as an excuse. And we didn't come from wealth, and we didn't come from whatever, right? Again, right, because we didn't come from people that read books or listened to books, or were business
Yeah.
owners and whatnot.
Yeah.
But just because they were not doesn't mean I'm not, and just because I'm not doesn't mean my kids are not, right?
Yeah.
And changing the trajectory, I try to explain it to a family member, and this came with money. It just so happened that we were talking about finances and shit. So what I was trying to explain to this person was like, look, bro, we didn't come from money, right? And I'm not a millionaire, at least not yet,
Yeah.
right? But I'm not a millionaire, and but I'm gonna do everything in my power so that if something happens to me, I could leave my kids with something.
Right.
Now, okay, so how do you do that? Well, shit, by insurance, man, right? So you make sure that you have yourself a very good life insurance. That way, in case something does happen to you, you leave your kids some financial stability,
Mm-hmm.
that they have an easier lifestyle to be able to do something for themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I could control that, right? I could control that. I could afford life insurance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that way, because I cannot afford, or let's say you don't have a million, two, three, five, whatever $1 million in the bank to leave to your kids. So how you're gonna do that is by insurance. Why? Because we just talked about earlier, right? Money makes life a little bit easier.
Right.
Money's not everything, but it does make it a lot easier, man.
Sí,
Right?
mi papá siempre decía, el pinche dinero, ¿qué decía? Shit. No, no es nada, pero ¿cómo hace falta?
Yeah.
Something like that.
And you know what?
And I was always like, what the
A
fuck?
lot of people talk shit, you know what I mean? But no, man. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you my philosophy about money, but
Yeah.
um, it does help, man. It helps give your kids a better livelihood. It gives them an opportunity to have better opportunities and to be a blessing to others, right?
Right.
So me here, my trajectory is to change it from here moving forward,
Right.
right? And what I was trying to explain to this person is like, look, man, you might not have $1 million to leave to your kid, 500,000, 100,000. I don't care the amount. It's whatever you don't have. The point is, what are you doing different than your parents were? You know what I mean? What are you leaving to your kids that your parents didn't leave to you?
Yeah.
Some parents are gonna say, well, shit, screw them. They didn't leave me shit. I'm not gonna leave them shit.
Yeah.
That's the wrong approach, man. You know what I mean? You have to build your kids. You have to give them the best opportunity you can. Now, if your kids turn out different, then that's beyond your power. But the point is changing the trajectory, man. We have the ability to change everything, man. We have the ability to make ourselves better and make our kids better and make this a better freaking living world if you can, right?
Yeah.
And to me, changing the trajectory takes a whole different meaning, because you could implement it in everything in your life, man.
Yeah.
It's your health. It could be your finances. It could be your relationship. It could be anything and everything possible. But it all starts with you. You know what I mean? If you're gonna, I have a friend. Check this out. I have a friend that his grandpa, my friend, and his son worked in the same company doing the exact same shit.
Oh shit.
3 generations in the
Yeah.
assembly line.
Oh,
At
damn.
what point do you change the trajectory and say like, and I'm not saying that it's wrong.
No,
But,
no,
I
no,
mean,
no.
I'm not downing,
Yeah.
assembly work.
But my point is, if the grandpa thought that this is good enough for me, so it's good enough for my son, and it's good enough for my grandson, at what point do we change it, man? At what point do we? Because I heard the grandpa, and this is the funny thing, because I heard the grandpa talking shit about his career.
Oh,
You know, if it was a great career, then by all means, I mean, honest work is honest work, right?
yeah.
But I actually heard the grandpa at one point say, like, you know what? I don't want this for my son. I don't want my son to do what I'm doing. But yet his son ended up doing what he's doing. And I heard my friend say, like, I don't want, you know, this is stupid. This is a screwed up job. I don't want this for my son. But yet
Yeah.
his son is doing it.
Yeah.
So what is going to happen? His great grandson and so forth and so on. And now we're going to have 5 generations on the same stupid assembly line that they were talking shit about.
Yeah.
Okay, so at what point are you held accountable, and at what point are you going to change your trajectory and say, like, you know what, ni madre, it stops here, man.
Yeah.
You are not going to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're going to do something better,
Yeah.
and so forth and so on, because that's how powerful families get built, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You cannot tell me that the Rockefellers and all these people with money started with chingos of money. I'll give you another example. You know what I mean? Jay-Z, you know what I mean? And I know you read his book.
Mm.
So now him and Beyonce, you know, power couple, right?
Mhm.
Multi-billion-dollar people, right?
Mm.
Well, where did Jay-Z come from,
Nothing.
right?
The project.
The projects, right? So his family, his mom did not have any money, man.
Mm.
I mean, him and Biggie, right?
Mm.
They were all in the same, in Brooklyn and shit, you know, rapping in the corner, you know, trying to make fucking, you know, trying to just there, you know what I mean?
Mm.
So they had nothing, literally nothing, right?
Yeah.
So at one point, whether he believed it or not, I truly believe that at one day, you know, Jay-Z said, you know what, fuck it, I'm changing the trajectory, man.
Yeah.
My kids are not gonna go through the projects. They're not gonna live like that. They're
Yeah.
not gonna be hustling for food.
Yeah.
So fuck it. I do what I gotta do to change the trajectory. Now, do you think that his daughters and kids are gonna live the same way? No, man.
No.
Now, what they do with the money, that's on them.
Yeah.
But he changed the fucking trajectory.
Yeah, and it goes to, you reminded me of this line that he has in his first album when he says, "I'd rather live enormous than live dormant." That's how we own it.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's just like, fuck this, man. I don't want this, and I think to change that, right? To change the trajectory to what you were saying, you know, about that person, you know, about changing those generations of 3 generations of working at the same place. It's that what they call the leap of faith, right?
Mhm.
Because you don't know what's on the other side. You know what I mean? They're like, you know what? I'm not gonna work here anymore. Now where am I gonna go? What am I gonna do? Am I gonna enjoy it? Am I gonna do this? And then you overthink it into the ground, and you're like, "Mejor me quedo aquí."
And that's exactly what happened to my friend.
This is like no disrespect. We're just
Yeah.
using this as like examples of
Right,
what is
exactly.
around us.
And I mean, if you have a great career, you have a great job by all means, you know what I mean? And what I'm saying is that because this came from them, right? And so grandpa was like, okay, man, this pays the bills, blah, 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 whatever. But I don't want my son to do it. So the son, who's my friend, I remember he had big dreams, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like, you know what? He started working with his dad. And then he was like, you know what? But I remember one time he's like, you know what? I want to be a fireman, and I want to be an EMT. You know, I want to do all this, man. And I would always tell him, what, go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it, man. Go to college, go to community, do whatever. Just make it happen, man. That's what you want to do. But he kept on doubting himself. He kept on saying like, yeah, but he had a million reasons why to do it, but one reason why not, and he chose not to. Why? Because he like, well, it pays the bills. Well, now you're second guessing yourself. So he shut himself down.
Yeah.
And then the funny thing is that his son said the exact same thing to me.
Wow.
I want to be an EMT. I want to be a
Whoa.
paramedic. I want to be a fireman. And I would be like, well, what's holding you back, mijo? Nah, man, this is cool where I'm at. You know, it pays the bills. And I go, that's what your dad said. And that's what your grandpa said, man. You know what I mean? And now he has a son who, you know, his boy is little.
Yeah.
You know, he's got I think it's maybe about a 5-year-old boy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is going the same freaking thing, man. You will
Wow.
refuse. You have refused to change the trajectory of your family because it was okay with grandpa and it was okay with your dad and it's okay with you, so it's going to be okay for your son. So 6 generations later, you're still going to be, instead of being business owners,
Yeah.
you're going to keep it, you're just going to keep the same thing, man.
Yeah.
And you don't change the trajectory, you keep the same trajectory, you keep the same circle, the same vicious circle, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we blame ourselves for that, man, because we don't want to change it. And again, that goes with the relationships. That goes, how many people do we not know that, they keep, it's almost like they keep going to the same people, right?
Yeah.
They get attracted, or they're attracted to the same people, the same violent people, the same, it's mediocre, man. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And we have so much potential inside of us, man, that we just refuse to fucking put it out there.
Yeah. It's just change is uncomfortable.
It always is.
You know what I mean?
It
And
always is.
people, that's why, like, I'm a big proponent of, like, as soon as you start getting comfortable, you got to move, do something different.
You
'Cause-
can, and one thing that I said, you cannot improve without change.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can never improve without change. And people are afraid of change, but
Yeah.
yet they want to improve.
Yeah.
How the hell can you do that?
Yeah, man. It goes to this, and it's not as hard. And going back to the whole life coaching, right? It's not as hard as it seems, right?
Right.
I mean, that's easier said than done, of course, porque, pues, sí, Roberto, entonces tú, ¿por qué? It's not as hard as it seems once you really. I remember you told me once, I forgot for what. I forgot for what, but you told me, I was like, oh man, it's because I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, well, if you really want it, you'll make it happen.
Yeah.
You just walked away, and I was like, damn.
Yeah.
And it's true.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things that I live by today too. One of the many things is like, how bad do you want it? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
How bad do you want it? Do you want it that bad? Then make it happen. But again, it goes back to this whole guilt that we live with. That's like, well, do I need it? Well, I can just, well, what if, and I could do it different. And that feeds, at least for me, that feeds my overthinking, right? Like, oh, and you start feeling guilty, and then it's like, shit, you know what I mean? But if you really, like, what is the goal? That's the goal, then make it happen.
And fíjate, and the funny thing about life coaching, everybody has the answer.
Yeah.
Everybody has the answer. I'm not going to teach you something that you don't already know.
Yeah.
All the answers are already within you. I'm just going to help you direct them. And then I'm going to help you kind of just get there and hold you accountable, right? If you want it, and going back to what you're saying a little bit, that people want to achieve things without sacrifice too. Everything has a price. Remember, I always tell you, man, there's no such thing as a free lunch, man, right?
Yeah.
Nothing is free in this world. Nothing. Even if it says free, it's not free. You know what I mean? Everything has a price. It might be free for you, but somebody else had to pay for that.
Yeah.
And the minute you understand that, the minute you realize that, you know what, everything comes with a sacrifice. Everything catches up to you, and everything has a sacrifice. Everything, good or bad, right?
Yeah.
Good, bad, or indifferent, man. And the minute you understand that, you're gonna be better off.
Yeah. I think what I've come to learn recently within the past few years too, and what feeds this this need of, like, changing our trajectory, right? And doing better and rooting for our kids, and just, like, seeing the potential, and not just us, right? Because that's one thing. Like, God damn, I could do this. But then seeing the potential in our partners, seeing the potential in our kids and family members and everything, is that I've come to realize, like, I stick to this thing in my head where it's like, we're not supposed to be here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? On paper.
Right.
Like, if you really see, like, where we come from, if we track back, that guy was not supposed to do that. That led to that. That got there. Then that's what happened. And then boom, fast forward. Now Ebbet's here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like, if besides life dealing you your cards, right? well, at least for me, I kind of feel like I'm going on borrowed time, kind of. So it's like, why not squeeze the juice out of that shit? Because it was supposed to end over here. And then I kind of was supposed to end over here.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was supposed to end over here. So it's like, I got away with these things here where it was,
Yeah.
you know, like, no, I'm not supposed to be here.
Right.
Deja tú por esas cosas que me pasaron a mí.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you think back, right, and we both come from this to where it's like, like my parents aren't from here,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're from Juarez, they're from Mexico. My dad made it a point to come over here. That was the big dream. That was the goal.
Yep.
Yo quiero vivir allá. Quiero que nazcan mis hijos allá para que sean ciudadanos,
Mm-hmm.
and then they'll have a better life.
Right.
Because this is bullshit over here.
He changed his trajectory.
Yeah. But that was the big goal. That was like, he was obsessed,
Right.
right? He was obsessed with like, I'm going to go over there, and he would cross over here illegally, which was way easier back then.
Right.
He would tell me what he would do and stuff. And I'm like, damn. So then that was the big goal, right? He would go to sleep and wake up thinking, fantasizing about having a life here,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Then, he would get thrown back sometimes. Sometimes he would cross and whatever. I don't know how the fuck. I was like, what? He ended up getting a job over here, but he was illegal. So he would back and forth every day. And I'm like, what the fuck? So, pa que vieras qué tan, cómo está la vida. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I got a job over there. I'm that much closer. You know what I mean? Till one day, boom, boom, whatever. He met my mom, whatever. They get a house. Now they have us. And now it's like, boom. Now he gets his, he's not a citizen. He's a
Resident. Right.
He's a resident, right? But now his kids are citizens, right? Now he has a house. Now he has this. Now the goal is met. And that's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now he's left with like, pues ya. And that's it. Everything else happens and this and that. Now he's like, well, hold the fuck on. Miento. He didn't come over here and meet my mom first. He met someone else.
Mm-hmm.
He has a daughter, this and that, blah, blah, whatever happens. And then, so then life is like boom, 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 boom. And he's like, what the fuck, man? And now he's wherever he's at. You know what I mean? Now I say that to say, once you reach your goals, you got to make sure you have some other shit.
You have to keep on going, bro.
You have to, because I have the perfect example of if you don't, you know what I mean? And you want to talk about like an obsession. You know what I mean? It was so far-fetched, and he did it. He did it. But that was it. And he never thought about anything else. Y sabes que, and this and this and this and this, like you proved it to yourself. But it just goes to show that mentality, dude. That poison that's
And you always have to have something. It's crazy, man, because you always have to have a vision. You always have to have a goal. And you got to keep on going. You
Yeah.
always have to kind of keep on going, right? In the book, the one we're talking about, right? The daily Stoic.
yeah.
It talks about having, when you start, right, having an end in mind,
Yeah.
right? And it's true. You always have to have a goal. You have to visualize a goal, because if not, you don't know when to stop or when, you know what I mean? But the thing is that once you get in close to that end, you have to reinvent yourself and continue on going. Right?
Oh, that's where the idea of reinventing yourself comes
You have to, right. And you always have to you cannot be stagnant, right?
No.
Many people are, and that's okay if that's who you are, whatever. But it's not healthy per se, right?
Right.
You always have to reinvent yourself. You cannot be the same person. You know what I mean? You grow. You have to grow. Even if you don't want to, you're gonna grow. You're gonna change, right? And you reinvent yourself, whether it's gonna be every 2 years, every 5 years, whatever. But you have to say, look, I'm getting better, man. I'm working at this. I'm doing a little bit better for this. I'm getting better at that. And life is about ups and downs as well, right?
Yeah.
Someday you're on the top, another day you're on the bottom. But as long as you're striving for the top,
Yeah.
and that's what you need to do, man. Reinvent yourself. change the trajectory. And that's what your father did, actually.
Yeah.
You know, because he could have just settled and said, you know what, screw it, man. We're going to stay in Juarez and my kids are going to be born in Juarez. Yeah, como nos va?
Yeah.
Well, almost kind of the same thing happened to us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was born in the U.S. I
Yeah.
was born here in El Paso. But my mom, she's from Durango, right? She's from Mexico. My brothers were born in Juarez, right? And I was born here. And luckily, she came, she came over here and we started living here in El Paso,
Yeah.
right? And because I don't know what our life would have been if we would have stayed in Juarez, especially where we grew up, man. We were
Yeah.
like, we grew up in las colonias, man, right?
Yeah.
Where it says, lee la Biblia, la chingada, right? And it was bad. And I remember many of our friends, childhood friends, they ended up, they were dead or ended up in prison or in Ceres or whatever.
Yeah.
So my mom, like your dad, they chose to change the trajectory by moving to El Paso or to the U.S., right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That was their trajectory. That was their goal. They were like, okay, it stops here, right? Or I make this change.
Yeah.
All right. And then we run with it, right? So we do what we can in our lifetime, in our span. We get as far as we possibly can and say, okay, this is where I'm going to change the trajectory for Idris and Haley and Ebed and Elijah and whatever, right? Or for whoever, the kids, whatever.
Yeah.
You change it, right? And you teach them to change something there, right? And you keep on reinventing yourself and getting better and better. But we need to change it to ultimately 5 generations down.
Yeah.
They could look back and say, I remember my great, great, great grandpa Robert, started with in the garage, doing his own thing. And now we own 5 studios.
Yeah.
Now we own the Sony from, 50 years from now, whatever, right?
Yeah.
It all started like that.
Yeah. And I remember you telling me that shit too, where it's like, and it goes like all this shit, if people are paying attention, all this shit intertwines with everything, right? Because you have the not reinventing yourself. You have the whole changing your trajectory and then caring about like your kids. And then like I'm a big, one of the things you helped me realize is like, okay, because I remember when you said changing your trajectory, you're like, if we change the trajectory, we're going to take the biggest hit. We are not going to benefit the most.
Exactly.
But we have to be selfless.
Yes.
Right? Because if we do it, we change it, and then everybody else benefits.
Exactly.
And we benefit the less.
Yes.
Are you going to be okay with that? Yeah. And I was like, holy shit.
Because you might not even see the benefits from it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
You might be, 5 generations, down the road.
Yeah.
Your actions that you do today are gonna benefit your great grandson.
Yeah.
And you're not even gonna be alive to see that.
Yeah. Y lo que quiero es que, because of course, what I don't have, I want to exist. You know what I mean? I didn't have grandparents, or I had grandparents, but whatever. I didn't have a relationship the way I pictured to have a relationship.
Right.
So at this point in my life, I'm like, I want to be that grandpa that I didn't have.
Yeah, of course.
I want to be that uncle that I didn't have.
Of course.
I want to be that dad that I didn't have. You know what I mean? And then so on and so on. So now this shit I want this shit to be documented. However, I want to make sure it's known when it started. And not even when it started, because just have a fucking...
We have a timeline, right?
Something, because I can't look back on that shit.
Yeah.
I know who my dad is. I know who my mom is. I know who my grandparents are. And then before that, it's... So I can't go back, 100 years. I can't go back. You know what I mean? All I know is, Mexico. Yeah. More than likely Chihuahua, but that's...
Ancestry.com is badass too, man. I dug into that, man. That's pretty badass.
I know, man. That's something, and you were telling me, and that leads into my next question. No, pinche...
So where are you from?
Pinche Salinas de Gortari me la pela, güey. Yeah. What does ancestry mean to you?
Ancestry. It's your roots. Yeah. Right.
Knowing what you know, because you know.
I was blessed enough to have a very good relationship with my siblings, and I have very on my dad's side, I have older siblings. I'm the youngest of them, and of course talking to my grandma and all that good stuff. So I have a very good idea where my ancestry came from.
Yeah.
It is very important. It is very important to know where you came from, who your ancestors were, what they did.
Yeah.
And it's a blessing to know that
Yeah.
because I know people that do not know where they came from.
Me.
And yeah,
It like it made it like
yeah,
you
it's
know.
it's tough, man. It's I could only imagine, I could only empathize with you on what is it like to not know where you came from, right? Because it comes with your fiber, bro. It's the fiber of your DNA, and it goes with your culture, and it goes with everything that you want to tell your grandkids, like, oh, well, your great 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 grandpa came, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some of us have that, some of us don't.
Yeah.
I'm blessed enough to have sisters that gave me a lot of information from our ancestry. So what does that mean to me? To me, it's almost a how can I explain that? Almost a door to the past
Yeah.
that allows me to see the past, know where I'm at today, and be able to see the future, right? And know the sacrifices that my family did and took to be where I'm at today, to understand the sacrifices that I need to do now to push my kids forward,
Yeah.
right? Again, going with the trajectory. And me personally, I could trace it back to the slave days, man. You know what I mean? Like, I've said before, right?
Mm.
I'm half black and half Mexican and biracial, but being biracial is a blessing, man, because I get the best of both worlds, right? I get to speak Spanish, I get to speak English. I grew up in Mexico, and so it's really really cool, man. Right? Like the guy from Cypress Hill, right? I'm black skin and shit, right? And and it's funny, man, because I really I really cash it in, brother. I really do. I really do, man. I capitalize so much, and it's not even funny.
Yeah.
But anyway, it depends what time of the month and time of the year. One day I'm black, another day I'm Mexican, so it's cool.
Yeah.
But it's very important, bro, because it helps you understand your foundation. It helps you understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
It helps you understand the struggles that your family came from
Yeah.
and the sacrifices they had to do, and take, right, to for you to be where you're at today,
Yeah.
right? And I think we take that for granted.
Yeah.
Especially, I think, and I don't even want to get political at all, but just in a nutshell, that you know society and this past few years,
Yeah.
we as a country have gone through so much shit,
Yeah.
you know good and bad stuff, right? And it regardless of your political affiliation, and regardless of what side of the aisle you're from,
Yeah.
you know I'm sure people have struggled and have sacrificed, have endured pain, tremendously, man. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And we've seen so much injustice out there. And for you to know where you came from and understand where you came from helps you identify, it helps you appreciate where you're at today, right?
Yeah.
And helps you teach your children the importance
Yeah.
of your history to move forward.
Yeah.
So it's very important. And for those who unfortunately might not know where they come from, I strongly suggest do some research or whatever you can, because I think technology is fuck, man.
Yo, I think I'm just like especially at the way beginning. I don't know how I feel about it now, but like like the conspiracy theorist of me is like, oh my mess, like with
Yeah.
the whole ancestry. Like, how do they know? How, like, you know what I mean? But I haven't looked it. I tried looking into it, and it's just
Do it.
really complicated.
I'm telling you, man. It's there's a little conspiracy theorist within me as well, and but because of the DNA, because our DNA is in everything we put in, man. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? There's so much information of us out there already that we don't realize
Yeah.
that all it is some mega computer putting all this shit together, really, right?
Yeah.
Because I see like people that I kind of knew about and people that I was like, oh shit, that person came out, man. And how do they know, right?
Yeah.
I think that just because I'm telling you, man, with technology,
Yeah.
you have to, at the very least, just entertain the thought
Yeah.
and I know that my wife takes advantage of it. She's come across people that she kind of knew, but she really didn't. And all it takes is really to reach out to that person, like, hey man, are you related to so and so? And you'd be amazed, man. Like, it's pretty badass, man. Technology, we didn't have it, and I think that if you don't know your ancestry, I think sometimes it's just because we don't care to dig deep enough.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't even want to know, especially
Yeah.
I know people that don't even care to know about their past, man. It's just so jaded, bro. It's so crazy that you don't want to know. But if you really want to know, I think it's important. But I think ancestry is very important, man. Helps us understand our past, helps us understand our present and our future, especially if you have kids and your kids need to know where they came from.
I think as the kids grow, that's why it bugs me, because it would bug me for a while, but I'm like, whatever. I am who I am. Y se chingó.
Yeah.
But now it's like, I guess because like I see them grow and I'm like, ooh, that's all me. Ooh, that's all Diana. Ooh, that's kind of both of us. Holy shit. And then it's like, then you start thinking like, holy shit, man. Like, what about, like they ask me about my parents and I tell them, but then it's like, it only goes to a certain point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, well, I would like to know. I would like to know, but ¿por qué soy así? You know what I mean? What did they go through? And like, where do I come from? And then I see documentaries, and then it's like, not who am I? Because again, I'm in control of that.
Right.
But like, what makes me? Like, why am I here?
And your traits too, even the way you look, bro. It's like, why do I look the same way? Like, I'll tell you a funny story. My kids, I don't know if you remember, but when they were little, their ears were like huge, right? And they were like perky, right?
Yeah.
And my ears are not big. And we were like, pues, este güey qué, pinche Sancho, right? You know what I mean? You can't help but think that, like, the mailman has funny ears like that. Pinche Spock, right?
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute, man. But, on my dad's side, my one of my older brothers, their ears are calotes, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And that's the side of the family that I didn't really grow up with, but we're like,
Yeah.
So, and my sisters always tell me that I have the same temperament that my father did.
Oh.
Right. So you do carry the traits. You do carry certain DNA. Well, you carry the DNA obviously from your family, but like certain traits, certain behavioral things. So, and it's important, man, because like even my son, I think he has certain traits that came from my wife's side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That they're not in my side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I think family is important, and I think all that is definitely important.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I would. I think I'll. I just need to look into it. A ver qué, but
Again,
I've always.
Remember what I told you, right? So the thing, I don't know how much it is now. When I bought it, it was like $50. I don't know how much it is now.
What?
The ancestry.com.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know how much.
Yeah.
But let's say you do buy it.
Yeah.
Right? What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
Okay, so you find out people in the past.
Yeah.
And you find out where you came from.
Yeah.
What could hurt?
Yeah, no, and it's not. I don't even get to that point. No. I wouldn't even get to the thing that would hold me back. Was like, no, these motherfuckers want your DNA, man. You know what I mean? It's like
they already have it since you were born.
Lo van a meter a un pinche lab y lo ahí, and then it's like
that island of Dr. What is it? Dr. Moreau or Dr. whatever it's called. It's that pinche island where it's an old movie.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's an old movie of this doctor's weird science.
Yeah.
This mad doctor. And he like gets DNA and crosses humans with animals. And,
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, they want your DNA. And it's like, I don't know, man. And that it's like, how do I believe it? But it's like you say, like, well, you can believe it or not believe it. Like, you're like, I shit you not, man. It'll only go to a certain point. After that, like, no me queda otras. Like, I have to believe it. I can't be like, no, ni madres, no cierto. You know what I mean? It's
well, think about it. Like, if they really wanted your DNA, right? Going into this conspiracy thing. How many times have you drawn your blood for a panel for a doctor?
More than
chingos.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right? The doctor's like, oh, I need your blood test because we need to find your panel for your cholesterol, whatever, right?
Yeah.
You already give people your blood.
Yeah. No, it's like I tell you, it's one of these things where it's like, wow, like they just want to collect people's DNA. The same thing. I don't do the fucking fingerprint on my phone because I'm like, no, why do you want my fucking fingerprint? Like this shit is fucking sketchy as shit. And now I have my beliefs, and then at the same time, it's like, no mames, way, it's the phone. You know what I mean?
No, but I mean,
It,
I'm the same way you are, believe it or not, man. I do have, my wife tells me that I'm a little
that shit is sketchy as shit to me.
Yeah, it is, man. There's certain things that like, well, here I go into other apps, but anyway, long story short, I get you. I understand. There's certain things that are a little bit fishy. That ancestry.com or that whatever,
Yeah.
I figured they already have my blood, fucking when I go get blood work. So who cares?
Yeah.
The fingerprint, okay, I get it because that's in an app that is broadcast everywhere. Pero, I mean, again, it's up to you, man.
Yeah, but again, I'm inching towards it more for the kids so I could at least be like, and for me too, to get an understanding like,
You'll be amazed. You find people.
oh, güey, supuestamente que yo era azteca, güey, no
I
mames,
I
you know?
I, I did that shit, right? And I did that, and Lisa bought it for me. And I don't know if I bought it, she bought it, but anyway,
The ancestry?
Simon.
Oh, okay.
And then there's a panel there for your your genes and where you came from.
Uh-huh.
So it does, man. It does break it up like, like 37% Nigerian
Yeah.
and 14 Spaniard and blah blah blah. So
Joder, empiezas a hablar así.
hey, I found out that I am less than 1% Scottish.
What?
Yeah, man. So you know what? I could claim, yeah, dude. So
Con razón te
that's-
gusta el whiskey,
I
güey.
love fucking Scotch.
Oh,
I'm telling you, bro.
no
So,
wonder.
and it's funny because it shows there, like, because of course, right? I'm part Nigerian, I'm part Spaniard, Aztec, and I'm Native American. So, capirotada, buddy. You know what I mean? And but it's cool, man. And if it's true, it's cool. And if it's bullshit, was at the very least, that's entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it's interesting though. It's
Yeah.
but at the same time, I brought that up to say, chingue su madre the rest. Like we're never gonna know specific people. Let it start here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like here is where it all started. Like the podcast took off, the music took off, then all these other business endeavors, whatever the hell we get into, takes off. Then they get the fruits of our labor, which I'm completely fine with. You know?
And think about every business that has hit it big, right? Think about any. Who could I think of? Some big ass company. That is okay. McDonald's,
Yeah.
right? It was two brothers in California,
Yeah.
right? Doing hot dogs, doing burgers,
Yeah.
doing milkshakes, doing all that, right? And and you hear the story there in the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. That book's also
That's
really
right.
yeah.
Oh, that's another one.
That's another book that's pretty badass.
What is it again?
21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. That one's a really good book. And it talks about the story of the two brothers,
That's right.
right, in California. And all they did was like fast food. And they didn't have the vision that the other guy went in there. And there's actually, there's a movie also in YouTube, on Netflix about it.
See?
I don't know if it's Kevin Costner.
No, este güey, Batman.
Kevin Costner, no?
No, güey,
Who's that?
pinche. I can't remember.
Not Kevin. You're right. I'm sorry. Kevin Costner's the guy from fucking Yellowstone.
Sí. The Founder. The movie? It's called The Founder.
Yes.
¿Cómo se llama este? Oh, who cares?
Yeah,
The
but-
first Batman.
But yeah. Now it's going to be in the back of my mind.
Sí.
But anyway,
Pinche Bruce
so-
Wayne, güey.
see. So it goes to the law of visualization and the law of influence. But anyway, where I'm trying to get to is that these guys, right, started with, I won't say nothing, but their idea was very minute. But look where the McDonald's are now, right?
Yeah.
And probably they didn't see how big it was going to get
Yeah.
till after the fact. And goes back to what we're talking about. Guys who started Sony, guys who started, I mean, they're still alive, some of them, but all big companies, right? Anything that started in a garage, Microsoft,
Yeah.
Apple, the guys that started with Apple, bro.
Apple.
Fucking garage. Get the
That's
fuck out of
right.
here, right?
Yeah.
and then who would ever imagine that we're gonna take off?
Yeah.
But it all starts with something.
Yeah, man. And that's why I'm like I'm very big on and that's not my whole reason why, but it's a nice thought to think whatever happens from here, 4, 5, 6 generations from now, at least they'll know, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
What we were up to. You know what I mean? Like, oh,
It's
that's why I push my kids to like, what do you guys want to do? We want to do it. Fuck it, let's do it. You know what I mean? Like Idris is big on, he's a YouTuber. That's what he wanted to do. He took advantage of it was Haley's idea. Haley was like, I want to do this, Dad. And I told her, I don't know how to do that. And one day I had her commit and invest in herself. And I was like, if you could do that, then I'll figure out the rest. Y como que la pensó, le dolió el codo, and she's like, all right, I'll do it. I'm like, man, she really wants to do this.
yeah.
And yeah, estoy yo trying to figure this shit out. And
And
then boom, I fucking got it. And little did I know that the whole time me and Haley are going back and forth and this and that, Idris was in the back. Just
taking
okay.
notes, baby.
yeah, just
Taking
like
notes.
and as soon as I was like, I don't know, Haley, maybe you can this and this or maybe you can have Idris and Idris and boom, he's right there. Yes. Oh, okay, Nico. Would you want to come out? Yeah, can I? Oh shit.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Así,
Yeah.
de volada. And can I have my own channel? Can I do this? I already have a name for it. I know what I want to do and this and that. And I'm like, holy crap, man. And go figure now. I think Haley, what she has going on right now, she overthinks a lot.
And that's one of the things that we always do that to ourselves.
Yeah,
When
so-
we overanalyze something, it always holds us back.
Yeah, I'm letting her come to terms with it. I don't pressure both of them.
Yeah.
I'm not like, necesito un pinche video ahora mismo. Just
No.
like, whenever you have an idea, let me know. And she's like, it's because I don't know what I want to do. Okay, let me know when you're ready.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Idris is like, can we do one today? Can we do it tomorrow?
Maybe I gotta get him because I'm so not up to par with with social media,
Yeah.
and that's something that I'm learning every day. Like for me, because I'm old school, right? I mean, it's like I like to deal with people on one-on-one basis.
Yeah. It's
So-
it's
it's a necessary tool, man.
it is a tool. It's a tool.
It's a necessary. As long as you understand that,
Yes.
as long as that you control that, and that does not control you, you're okay.
Yeah.
it's-
That line gets blurred, man.
Very.
That
very.
line gets blurred. Like, why are you? Well, because if I do this, then this will happen. Oh, okay. But does it? I don't know. I gotta try. You know what I mean?
And-
So it's
and-
just like,
You understand that it's a tool that you need it. That's fine, man. But it's when it controls you.
Mhm.
And you could ask many people, man. I mean, many of the young guys and girls today, ask them, hey, man, let's do a challenge, right? Let's go 3 days without the phone.
hmm
How will you function?
hmm
Some people can't, man.
no.
Some adults, some grown people
Yeah.
will not be able to function without their phone
Yeah.
for more than 24 hours.
Yeah. I
They
believe
will
it.
go crazy.
I believe it, dude. I believe it. It's a drug. You know what I mean? It's if you don't know how to control it, if you don't know what's the purpose, why are you getting on it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I find myself going into those holes, but then the majority of the time I'm looking stuff up. I'm trying to see how I can,
Manipulate the
how
stuff.
how I can how do I attack this? How do I use it?
Mhm.
How do I use it instead of it using me?
And that's the important thing.
You know what I mean? Putting yourself out there, not
Yeah.
too much, and then like, oh, do this, do that. It's just like it's a lot. It's a lot, and it's just like then you get consumed. Oh shit, what's this? Oh, that's cool. And the next thing you know, you're like, wait, no mames.
2 hours later,
See,
3
güey?
hours later, like,
Oh shit! Like you're like, God
Yeah.
damn it, man.
yeah, you just gotta be focused, man. You just gotta, yeah, I mean, we gotta stay up with the times, keep up with the times.
Yeah, no, but first things first, it's a tool.
It's a
Learn how to
tool.
use that tool.
That's
and
what it is, man.
every app is different.
Yeah.
It's just learning that tool.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Just learning it and
yeah, it's crazy.
but it
man.
is a tool, man. And I
Yeah.
see the way you're going and I like it. I like the way you've been using it and you do frequent it, but you've had a plan all along. También,
Mhm.
you've told me before, like I'm not gonna do some stupid shit.
Yeah,
It's like, no, that's the right way to do it.
it is.
You know, it's
There's
it's a mature way to do it. I only have a couple more questions here. So no, I have I have one more question. Okay. So to close this out, right? What does fatherhood mean to you?
What does fatherhood mean to me? Responsibility. I think the word that comes to mind. Ownership. I think fatherhood is it's very important to me because it's not something that you inherit. It is something that you built. You know what I mean? You create it. Um, many it's that cliche that anyone could make a baby, but it takes a father to really great. I mean, raise one, right?
Yeah.
But I think it goes beyond that. At least for me, right? Me personally. I mean, I'm not talking about anyone else.
Yeah.
And that's because I really had a different relationship or a weird. I won't say weird. I really didn't have a relationship with my father per se, right?
Right.
Growing up in a single parent, home, fatherhood means a lot. What I mean, it means role model. It means being there for your son, being able to make those uncomfortable decisions, and being unpopular. And that is one of the biggest things about being a father, that you need to be not stern, but you need to be, what's the word I'm looking for?
Assertive.
Assertive. Thank you. You need to be assertive with your children and have kind of like a concept of how you want them to grow up. Right now, it could all turn to shit. Right, you could whatever, and they completely go different.
Yeah.
But it's responsibility that you have is responsibility and ownership of your actions, man, because your kids learn from you, man, whether you want to or not. Your kids are watching you, man. And you can't be wishy-washy, man. You can't pick and choose when you want to be a dad and when you don't want to be a dad. It's like you're a dad 24/7, man. And the good comes with the bad, right?
Yeah.
Like from the movie that from Denzel Washington, Fences, I think it was named.
Mm-hmm.
It says you take the cookies with you take the crooked with the straights, right? Or you take the straights with the crookeds.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, man, you take the good and the bad. And being a dad, sometimes your kids are not gonna see the best part of you,
Yeah.
but they have to make sure that they see the best part of you most
Yeah.
of the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that it comes with responsibility, man. You take responsibility and realize that you're a man. You know what I mean? Realize that you have a responsibility for this children. Give them the best upbringing that you can.
Yeah.
Sacrifice everything that you own for your
Yeah.
children. And that is one of the biggest things, man. As long as you're willing to sacrifice everything for them, you're gonna be okay, man. Kids don't come with a manual, man. I started with children. I didn't even start with a kid. I started with children. And very overwhelming, man, to bring in twins into this world, right?
I bet.
And but I figured, and however the hell we're gonna do it, my wife and I, we figured it out, and we knocked it out. And it is what it is, man. You
Yeah.
will fail. You know what I mean? You will fail, man. If you don't fail, that means you didn't even try.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're gonna fuck up as a dad. Sometimes you're gonna do things that perhaps you shouldn't have done, and you're gonna say things that perhaps you shouldn't have said.
Yeah.
You know, but when those times come, be ready to apologize to your kids,
Yeah.
and always explain to your kids why you do what you do. And I think that I always try to do that with my sons. That after a good little whooping because they misbehave, I always explain to them why they got a spanking,
Mm-hmm.
and I always made sure that they understood that I loved them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we always ended up with a hug and a kiss.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you always, no matter what, man, okay, you're gonna get little pow pows in the butt, man, because you jumped, you pulled your brother's hair, or you threw a burrito to their face, which that did happen.
Yeah. I heard
Um,
that.
but at the end of the day, man, I hugged my children
Yeah.
and I told them I loved them,
Yeah.
and I never ever had any remorse toward them. I never had any hatred towards them, And I always wanted to make sure that they understood that. And I would always kind of like even put it back on them. I would always ask them, "Do you know why I did what I did?" And they were like, "Yes, Dad. Because I did this." And then it's funny because it's kind of like you put it on them, right?
Yeah.
And they almost like you play this guilty trip on them for a little bit.
Yeah.
But coming back to the question of fatherhood, it's very personalized because maybe what it means to me might not mean something different to another gentleman.
No, but it's so like, and this is discretion. Like, I'm asking you these questions. Like, what does it mean to you? You know what I mean? So it's like it's opinions.
It's everything, bro.
You know?
And then I think that, man. I think being able to see your kids succeed, be ready to sacrifice everything you own, everything you work so hard for them.
Yeah.
And always be there for them. Always be there for them, man.
Yeah.
And be as honest, as genuine as you possibly can, because they can see through the bullshit.
Yeah.
And when everything's said and done, and when you're dead and gone, you want that legacy to be there with your kids. And one thing that almost kind of like it's man, well, it's not funny, haha, in the sense, but it's funny how my kids, like every Father's Day, they write me a card or whatever, and every single time they both tell me how much I've taught them and how much I've helped them to be the man that they are now, the young men. And it's priceless, man.
Yeah.
Just knowing that they get it, they got it, they understood it.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of my wife as well, right? We both do. We get a lot of like congratulations, and we get praise for the way we raised our both boys, right? But it's important, man. It's so important to keep it real with your kids, man. Keep it fucking real, man. I guess that's the best advice, or that's what it really truly means to me, man. Keep it real, because us as parents, us as brothers, us as kids,
Yeah.
we know when our parents kept it real,
Yeah.
and we know and we knew, right, when our parents were full of shit.
Yeah.
And there's nothing worse, man, that when you think of your parent as, him or her were full of shit, full of bullshit.
Yeah.
And they could think otherwise. They're like, no, man, I was a great dad.
Yeah.
And the kid knows, nah, Dad, you were a piece of shit, man.
Yeah, and that's the truth. The truth will always, like the kid is always gonna be living with that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
man.
And even the dad's gonna be like,
Yeah.
I know I wasn't. You know what I mean?
And you could fake the funk, man.
Nah.
But at the end of the day, man, you knew what you did. You know if you were a good dad or not. And I don't know, man. And I don't know. It's a tough one, but I think that when it comes down to that, man, be genuine with your children. Be there for them, support them, and that way they can never come back and say like, "Hey, Dad, you were not there for me."
No,
Yes.
I think you guys, and I mean, we commend you too on the boys, man. They're
Thank
like
you.
awesome,
Thank you.
awesome young
Thank you.
men. Just the best. Shout out to Ebed and Elijah. I'm excited. I've told them, I've told you, I've told everybody, like I'm so excited for them to grow and see them, and you know what I mean? Because now, going back to what we're talking about, now they have all like this tool bag.
Yeah, they do.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
they
it's
do.
like now you go into the world, and it's like we're right here.
Yeah.
Like we got
Yeah.
your back. We will be what we didn't have, or even better. You know what I mean? And it's all about that. I've told you this before. Where like you help me realize as a dad is like I'm gonna work my butt off my
Yeah.
whole life, to give them the best that I can, and raise the bar as high as I can.
Yeah.
And then in the end, that the highest point that I've reached is gonna be their starting point.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And you have to set that gold standard, because it's funny, man, because I kind of without going too much into detail, obviously I didn't grow up with my dad,
Mhm.
but I did have a father role model, and God rest his soul, he passed away, and I called him dad.
Mm.
So he showed me what I believe to be a true role model,
Yeah.
and he was a father figure to me. Beto's dad.
Mm.
He showed me what a father's supposed to do. He showed me what a father's supposed to be.
Yeah.
He taught me the word of work ethic, right?
Right.
Or the meaning, rather. I'm sorry, the meaning of work ethic. And I learned so much from that man. I owe him so much. I owe him tremendously.
Yeah.
And I kind of mimic my fatherhood, I guess. The way of my parenting skills, I guess, to him as a
Wow.
father, right?
Yeah.
And it worked out tremendously.
That's
Right.
awesome.
And and I just hope that if in fact I am a good dad, I hope that my children take that from me and show it to them, to their kids, and so forth and so on, right? And be responsible. But I'm telling you, man, you kind of look around and you pick something from people, you know what I mean?
It's
And
crazy where you get it from.
yeah,
It's
and
crazy where you get it from because,
yeah,
that goes to show that you never know where it's going to come from, no matter how big and how small. Because, you got that, a father figure, and then now you're raising your kids off of that.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly.
So I really do think that God places people in your life, and
Always, man,
you
always.
don't
Yeah,
you don't know how big of an impact they're gonna have, and it goes straight back to me and you, man. Like
yeah.
I was like, I remember. I don't remember the first time I met you, or maybe I do. I don't remember,
Like
but
what, like 17 years ago or something like that.
something like that. The boys were like tiny, dude, tiny, and but I mean, fast forward all these years is like, dude, like you're like you're my mentor. You know
Thank
what I
you.
mean? You're
Thank
you're
you.
my you're the closest thing to a father figure that I have.
Thank you.
Recurring, and you're not like my big brother. You are my big brother.
Yeah.
Like you have like impacted my life in a tremendous way, man. Like and people make fun of us, because we're so
Yeah, yeah.
tight too.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
the thing is that the way I see it is like, man, I'd rather have this relationship than
Yeah.
to not have it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if that's what I got to put up with, then fuck it. Because I know how important it is for a young man to need direction, and for you just to like come into my life and then just guide me, just guide me and guide me and guide me. And then the challenges, they grew, and you were just there, just steady, steady, steady. And I'm just like, holy shit! Like I don't know what to do. I don't know who to turn to. I don't know this and that. And you would just come in
Yeah.
and like, well, what if this and what if that? And it's a very, very special relationship that me and you have. And I really don't care how much we get picked on for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But because, like, wait, again, it goes back to this whole, like, I'm not supposed to be here.
You
I
know?
am not supposed to be here. And I am not supposed to be figuring these challenges out,
Yeah.
And it just so happens, just like we talk about how money is a resource, it's a tool. Social media is a tool. Relationships are tools too. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
books are tools.
Yeah.
There's all these tools in life that you're given that's like, it's, you either open the book up or you don't. The information's in there.
Yeah. You use them to your advantage, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and I feel so lucky that like people have like they look up to their heroes. You know what I mean? Like, oh, pinche, yo cuando crecí, pinche Spider-Man bed
Dale.
sheets y todo el pedo.
Right.
You know what I mean? And all this shit, and it's like, but how many people get to like call their heroes? Like turn to them. I
Yeah.
could call you.
Thank
You know what I
you.
mean?
Yeah.
I could
Anytime. Thank you.
call my hero and be like, I need help. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I'm in a fucking, no sé qué hacer. And I feel fortunate because I know not a lot of people have that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you're right, man. Like I didn't, even though dad was there,
Yeah.
Robert's dad,
Right.
a lot of shit I figured out on my own, man. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Y está culero, güey.
And I had other role models there, other father figures, but a lot of it was that I was not receptive, you know what I mean? And a lot of it was that I thought I didn't need the help. But when
Yeah.
it came to parenting, man, a lot of the stuff came back to the people I grew up with, man, people that I look up to.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, I mean, was I figured out shit on my own.
Yeah.
And for me, me being able to, guide you and give you advice on my 2 cents, like I always told you, man, this is just my 2 cents, man. You could take them and,
Yeah.
whatever. And nobody says I'm right. And you're right. People will mock certain relationships like that.
Yeah.
But in reality, man, if you really, really, really think deep inside of us, man, the people that kind of talk shit is the people that they wish they had a relationship like that, man. Because,
Yeah.
if we're really, honestly, we're true to ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like an integrity check, right?
Yeah.
And like, how many of us, I know I did, man. I know that I needed certain guidance at certain times in my life that I didn't have. I
Yeah.
had to figure it out. And I wish I really did have somebody to call and like, hey, bro, what do you think, man? Like, should I go left or right, man?
Yeah.
And but I didn't. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. But what I'm saying is that some of the people that mock, certain relationships is like, well, did you have that?
Yeah.
Right? And why do you hating that instead of kind of like embracing it and saying like, hey man, that's good for you?
Yeah.
Well, instead of talking shit, why don't you become a role model to somebody, man? Why don't you help somebody out? And some people do, man. Some people
Yeah.
do help out. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, man, it's like,
It's
like,
just
like Cat Williams would always say, man, you're always going to have haters, man.
yeah.
And if you don't have haters, you're doing something wrong, man. You
Yeah.
better go out there and get yourself some haters because if you have haters, you're doing something right, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and I don't take it to heart because I feel very fortunate, man.
Yeah.
I feel very fortunate, and it's like the way I see it is like you can make jokes all you want. It'd just be nice to like hear different ones.
Yeah. But some people just hate.
After a
man.
while, it's like, oh, okay, you just want to like, okay, cool. Because again,
Yeah.
I am very like again, I don't think people realize, and I don't want to go into it like, but like from how I was to how I am. But even now, how I am, I'm not perfect. Pero
You definitely changed,
you
man.
know what I mean? It's just like, and I couldn't have done it. I couldn't have done it without Diana. I couldn't have done it without the kids. But another big, big proponent is you.
Yeah.
You like as far as like becoming a man and being very honest with me and we hardly get into it. But I could remember, not even a handful, like 1, 2, maybe 3 times where it's like, oh shit, like it's true. You know what I mean? And like, no, 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 no. And like, oh shit, like, see, me mame. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you called me out on it, and it's just like, again, it goes to that whole like, he doesn't have to do this. Why is he doing this?
Yeah.
That kind of like kept me in check. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
again, I get to call and text my hero.
Hey, man. Well,
You know
no,
what I mean?
thank you. You feel me?
So and we'll go ahead and end it there because we've gone for a long time.
Yeah.
Hey man, but it's a loaded thing. And again, I wanted you here so I could show you off.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
I wanted you here so
Yeah.
so you can promote your business. Which
Yes.
okay, so what is it called again? Remind them.
So
Social medias.
So yeah, you could. It's make sure you type in
Yes.
www.ascendinglife.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
and that's
Yeah.
ASCENDING
Yeah. Life coach. Ascendinglifecoach.com. Right.
.com.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna leave the link in the description and everything
and
too.
then on of course Instagram is gonna be Coach Melec. You'll see me there.
Yes.
Facebook as well.
Coach Melec también
No, Sending Life Coach on Facebook.
on Facebook. Okay.
Yes.
I'll make sure I
Yeah.
put that all in there too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And if anything, I want to just leave with this. Make
Yeah.
sure that whoever's listening to this, all your fans and your followers, make sure you take the time to find goals. You know what I mean? Love yourself. Go for whatever is it that you're thinking of doing it. Do it. Take the risk. Life is short. It truly is. It God knows it truly is. You don't know, tomorrow's never promised, right? Whatever you need to do it. Go for your dreams. You never know. The worst that could happen is no. That's the worst that could happen. You know what I
That's
mean?
it.
Pay it forward. Be kind to others. It just, Try to be the best person you possibly can, man.
Yeah.
And then if you need help, of course, you got me. Hire my services, of course. I'll live coach you.
I am a product. If you get to know me, I am a product of him.
Yeah.
As far as this whole manning up shit and everything, I mean, yeah, I gotta pay. I gotta give props to my wife and my kids and stuff. But like I don't get to that point without you. I don't. And we just touched the surface of.
Oh God, this is a very long story, but
Yeah.
sometimes we need a little push. Sometimes we need a little bit of motivation.
And you're
But-
active on social media too. Like if you need a swift kick in the ass for whatever reason, you could follow Coach at Coach Melec.
Yep.
And he'll like, cabrón, help you snap out of it and stuff. You know what I mean? Like you said, you give little tidbits, create goals. Hey, you're almost there.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
motivational. Get together. You know what I mean? And like I said, you know what I mean. Work on plans. Focus on yourselves. Love yourselves. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other, and you'll be all right.
Yeah. And with that, we'll go ahead and finish up. This is the Puras Pendejadas podcast. I am Rob D. This is Coach at Coach Melec.
Yes.
And we'll be dropping this shit whenever the fuck I want to, all right? Bye. Biatch.